Chapter 231. There was no problem with Gu Chinch's proof of identity. It was originally made by the government to hide his identity during the operation of the Calming Immortal Department. This was also one of Liu Baiyue's secret methods. With the identity of Chun Gong, a 12th-year imperial scholar, he successfully entered the city. Although with his cultivation, he could enter the city at any time, he needed to interact with people and blend into the lives of the common people. It was better to have an identity to find a reincarnated person. In addition, mingling with the common people and feeling the atmosphere of the common people was very beneficial to his cultivation. He even chatted with these scholars at the tea house for a while to feel the culture of the common people. A group of scholars traveling around, wearing fresh clothes and chatting freely with their swords, made him have a deeper understanding of the emperor's qi. The emperor's qi was to control the people. Under the rule of law, the common people would gradually recognize the rules of the emperor. Finally, the law would be strict, and the will of the people would be born. The so-called hearts of the people were the source of the emperor's qi. The stronger the dynasty, the stricter the law, and the more prosperous it was, the stronger the emperor's qi. If the dynasty was ruined, the people would have no way to live, the people would be confused, and there would be smoke everywhere. Then the emperor would no longer have the emperor's qi. At this moment, the great Yonko was unprecedentedly prosperous. There were basically no bandits among the common people. In the past dynasties, there were many barren mountains and unruly rivers that were occupied by a large number of bandits, and even people of the Devil Dao. But now, all the bandits had been purged, and the people of the Devil Dao had gone into hiding, not daring to show their faces. Especially in the last 2 years, the wilderness was almost flattened. This caused many of the people of the Devil Dao to be unable to rely on the barbarians. In the past, old demons like the Black Demon Bat could still stir up trouble. But after Gu Chansha killed the 4 old demons, some of the people of the Devil Dao were shocked. He paid the entrance tax of 1 jiao, which was a metal coin made by the imperial court. 10 jiao were equivalent to 1 yuan. 1 yuan was equivalent to 1 tael of silver in the past. Gu Chansha entered the city and found that the city was built very beautifully. Not only were the roads wide, they were also very clean. The shops and houses on the side of the road were also planted with flowers and grass, and they were trimmed neatly. There was even a man-made river in the center of the city, and there were people rowing boats on it. It was very comfortable to walk on the road. There was basically no dust or rubbish. Not to mention that there were specialized people to clean the road. If someone threw rubbish, there would immediately be small officers to stop them and fine them. The people of Wuzhou had always been tough. Everyone practiced martial arts, and fights would often break out at the slightest disagreement. However, no one dared to cause trouble on the streets now. There were many soldiers patrolling to deter thieves and lawbreakers. There were many martial arts schools in the city. Of course, the largest were the schools built by the government. The current policies of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor placed great emphasis on education. He even provided free lodging and free tuition for the children. Those who studied well were rewarded, and schools were being built everywhere among the people. As the capital of the Wu province, the school was naturally the largest. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor reformed the school system, splitting it into many levels. Kids were at the beginner level, teenagers were at the intermediate level, and then the advanced level. Originally, I thought that after the earthquake and disaster, there would be a long period of depression, at least 3 to 5 years before it could recover. Who would have thought that in just a few months, it would be completely prosperous? Gu Qinsha sighed with emotion at the strength of the imperial court. Wuzhou was really prosperous, and it didn't lose to the capital. That was because this place was the capital of the Great Wu dynasty a long time ago. A few thousand years ago, an expert from the Wu family built the Great Wu dynasty and unified the world. He built the Dragon Transformation Tower, and it was one of the strongest dynasties in history. The barbarian race was forced to retreat. Although it fell, the Wu family was still fine. After so many years of wind and rain, the capital of the Great Wu dynasty still stood tall and majestic. Martial path energy filled the land. Gu Qinsha walked around and realized that there were many strong auras in the city. There were even Dao realm experts hidden. Occasionally, there would be martial arts masters galloping on horses. He knew that many outsiders had gathered in Wuzhou City. This was definitely caused by Gu Tanjian. The news that Gu Tanjian released the dragon-raising pill and virtue pill was something that any expert would flock to. Tiger-Leopard Alliance? Just as he was casually walking around, a giant dojo appeared in his eyes. The words Tiger-Leopard Alliance were written on it. Gu Qinsha looked at the signature. It was actually the handwriting of the retired grand scholar Yan Wuliu. Yan Wuliu was a famous scholar. His calligraphy and painting were the best in the world, and a single word was hard to buy. He was once a scholar in the imperial court, but because he criticized the heavenly talisman emperor for allowing women to study and become officials, he was banished. However, he still had a huge reputation among the commoners. This person was a stubborn scholar and was actually willing to write a signboard for a commoner like the Tiger-Leopard Alliance. The dojo of the Tiger-Leopard Alliance was in the northwest corner of Wuzhou City. It was at least 1,000 hectares large. There were high walls on the outside and many tall buildings on the inside. In front of the main entrance was a giant square with 2 giant jade Qilin statues. On the square, there were many muscular men dressed in warrior attire walking around. They didn't allow random people to get close. Sometimes when the patrolling soldiers came here, both sides would greet one another. This showed the close relationship between this commoner and the government. Gu Qinsha looked at the gate of the Tiger-Leopard Alliance from afar. In truth, he was filled with disdain towards this commoner group. At most, it was just a small gang that hugged Gu Tanjian's leg. This was why they colluded with the government and created such a huge commotion. Tiger-Leopard Alliance's alliance head Jia Yidao was said to be a martial arts grandmaster. He obtained a virtue pill from Gu Tanjian and reached Dao realm. To the commoners, he seemed like a god, but to Gu Qinsha, he wasn't worth mentioning at all. But now, it seemed like the Tiger-Leopard Alliance wasn't simple. The aura of the place and the formation wasn't something that a first transformation Dao realm expert could create, especially the pair of Qilins in front of the gate. They were made of normal jade, but spirit-sealing jade. They were refined by someone with high cultivation and could swallow any unclean things that tried to invade. Gu Tanjian seems to have come up with something. Gu Qinsha laughed coldly and turned around. He didn't go in to see what was going on. He had come to Wuzhou to secretly search for the martial song star's reincarnation. He wasn't here to tangle with Gu Tanjian. The martial song star's reincarnation's talent was no small matter. Even the most conservative estimate was that he was a peerless genius, and one that was even stronger than Long Zai-Fei. Gu Qinsha had some experience with the stars. He was also familiar with history. Many emperors were born from their mothers swallowing starlight. If it was a powerful, inauspicious star, such as the 7 Murders, Army Destroyer, and Voracious Wolf, combining the 3 stars into one to kill the wolf, then that person's talent was equivalent to that of a natural saint. Since ancient times, whenever such a person appeared, there would be a bloodbath. Who knew how many people would die and how many immortals would fall? Apart from that, the Heavenly Fiend Star and the Heavenly Spirit Star would also have the talent of a natural saint. Even more terrifying was the reincarnation of the Lord of 7 Stars. If he was righteous, he was a peerless celestial. If he was evil, he was a peerless demon. Gu Qinsha had seen the calamity last time. Hundreds of thousands of stars had descended from the heavens. Who knew how many powerful figures had been born? Gu Qinsha found a place to stay. It was the Rain Admiration Pavilion that Feng Yuzhou had introduced him to. Rather than an inn, it was better to call it a high-class guild hall. The interior was elegant, and the cost was exorbitant. A night's stay cost 100 yuan, or 100 taels of silver. But after checking in, Gu Qinsha understood why it was so expensive. There were all sorts of delicacies, and there were beautiful maids who served him tea, played the zither, sang songs, recited poems, and painted with him. It was a place of oppressive wealth. This was the Feng clan's guild hall, and it was doing quite well. Gu Qinsha didn't call for anyone to wait on him. He just stayed in a secluded courtyard. At night, he would once again observe the heavens. He had a vague feeling that the reincarnation of the Martial Song Star was in the Martial Prefecture's capital. Those who reincarnate from the stars are not necessarily all babies. There are also records of ordinary people who suddenly swallowed starlight, and as time passed, they began to transform. Gu Qinshan knew that the profound truths of the stars had only descended into the human world a few months ago. If they were really born, then all he had to do was check which babies had been born during this period of time. The scope could be narrowed down and things would be much simpler. Unfortunately, those who were born with the profound mysteries of the stars weren't necessarily babies. Ordinary people could also have such fortuitous encounters. That was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Night fell. The stars twinkled in the sky, mysterious and vast. Who knew how much power they contained? Gu Qinsha used the spell that he had comprehended to calculate. He felt that every star seemed to be alive, a huge life form that humans could not understand. They had their own unique thoughts. But even after calculating to the limit, he still had no idea who the reincarnation of the Martial Song Star was. Ha ha ha! Brother Chun is indeed a trustworthy person. Just as Gu Qinsha was observing the stars and comprehending something, laughter came from outside. It was Feng Yuzhou, who he met at the tea stall during the day. This person walked in with a few scholars who were sightseeing with him. Compared to the people Gu Qinsha saw during the day, this group was even larger. However, these people were all covered in dust. Feng Yuzhou, in particular, although he was smiling, his arm was wrapped in bandages. It seemed like it was broken by someone and had just been reattached. "Brother Feng, what are you doing?" Gu Qinsha hurriedly asked. "Aren't we going sightseeing? Why do you look like you're fleeing? Could there be bandits nearby? Let's not talk about it. Today is really unlucky." We went sightseeing together and saw two girls who were also sightseeing. We went up to strike up a conversation, but the girl thought we were flirting and beat us up. A scholar's face was swollen like a pig's, and he cried out, "What? That girl beat you up?" Gu Qinsha looked at Feng Yuzhou's broken arm and said, "Brother Feng, if I'm not wrong, you're a martial grandmaster, right? To have your arm broken, could it be that the girl's martial arts are above yours?" "It's not just above me. It's like the difference between heaven and earth." One of the women pointed her finger in the air, and I couldn't move. The other two women came up and beat us up. I couldn't use my martial arts at all. Then, the two women disappeared. Could it be that they encountered some demons and ghosts? Chapter 232. He just pointed, and they couldn't move at all. Gu Qinsha thought to himself, the cultivation of these two women is not to be underestimated. They must have used an invisible innate energy to bind them. Only those who have reached the seventh transformation of the Tao realm can use this. Why would such people appear in the mountains near the capital city of Wu province? The first 5 transformations of Tao realm were eating energy and fasting, 9 bulls and 2 tigers, copper skin and iron bones, swallow gold stone, and spirit gathering. No matter how strong one was, one couldn't injure others invisibly. One had to use the power of one's physical body to attack and destroy others. Tao realm transformation Xiantian energy could only be released and not retracted. It could only rip apart one's body and pierce through stone. It couldn't restrict one's body. Only Tao realm transformation 7 could use it freely and turn it into an invisible rope to bind the enemy. Gu Qinsha had seen many experts recently. Even Gu Hua, who had an 18 transformation golden core, was plotted against. People at Tao realm transformation 7 couldn't even take one strike from him. But that didn't mean that people at transformation 7 were trash. On the contrary, be it in the celestial path or demon path, people who could reach transformation 7 were the core strength and experts with stable positions. That girl might be a really strong celestial path person. Gu Qinsha told the bunch of scholars to sit down. I think they showed mercy, otherwise it would have been really dangerous. He knew that these bunch of scholars definitely saw that the girl was beautiful and tried to tease her. They thought that they were flirting, but in the end, they stepped on a nail. But he didn't expose them in case they felt awkward. It would definitely be useful to make friends with these scholars. But those two girls are really as beautiful as fairies. Scholar Huang sucked in a cold breath. His eyes were still filled with infatuation. Our faces are covered in dust, so we won't be able to meet anyone tomorrow. Feng Yuzhou called a maid in. Take my car to Tiger Leopard Alliance and tell them that I can't meet them tomorrow. Yes. That maid bowed and backed off. She was really docile, and it was obvious that she had been trained for many years. TSK, Brother Feng, you really are from an aristocratic family. You have such a huge business. Not many people can have such a good life. A scholar was extremely satisfied with the enjoyment in the Rain Admiration Pavilion. We are also short of money to stay in such a luxurious place for a long period of time. It was comfortable to stay in the Rain Admiration Pavilion. Food and clothes were provided, and life was exquisite. It was a pity that it was too expensive, costing $100 a day. Such expenses were something that even a disciple of a large clan could not afford. Gu Qinsha knew life very well. Some of the nobles in the capital only had this much monthly allowance. It's my treat for the next few days. Don't stand on ceremony. Feng Yuzhou straightforwardly waved his hand. I've already made an appointment with the Tiger Leopard Alliance's leader. He's representing the Crown Prince to meet us. We are all people with scholarly honors and might become officials in the future. The Crown Prince is very polite to us. If the Crown Prince takes a liking to us and gives us some financial support, wouldn't we be rich? That's true. A few scholars nodded. I heard that the Crown Prince likes scholars and has formed a national fortune party. As long as a scholar that he likes joins the party, he will receive a considerable salary every month. A gentleman is in a group, but not in a clique. Forming cliques to disrupt the government isn't what a righteous person would do. Gu Qinsha's eyes flashed. He didn't expect Gu Tanjian to be so ambitious. He actually contacted scholars in the government and formed cliques for personal gain. In history, scholars in any dynasty would have cliques and corrupt the government. For their own benefits, they would betray the country and do anything. Gu Qinsha was well-versed in history books, and he abhorred factional strife. The scholars and scholars of the world could not be underestimated. Those who were able to obtain scholarly honors must have a family behind them. Once they were involved, they would be the gentry class of the entire world. Since ancient times, the gentry class had been the largest ruling class in a country, occupying at least half of the destiny. Gu Tanjian was starting to make a move in this aspect. He was probably planning something for the world. Many cultivators thought that the people of the mortal world were fools and that there was nothing valuable about them. Gu Qinsha used to think so too, but ever since he studied the ancient scrolls and cultivated to a profound level, he felt that the people of the world were not ants. The reason why the heavenly talisman Great Emperor had such a high cultivation and was able to intimidate the heavens, slay devils and kill gods, and punish the immortal Tao was probably because he had comprehended the profundities of the mortal world. Moreover, the final move of the Son of Heaven investiture art was that all beings are united. Since ancient times, none of the heavenly emperors who obtained the heaven sacrifice decree were able to cultivate this move. If Gu Tanjian had the great spirit god behind him, then forming a clique to contact the scholars in the world was definitely not as simple as gathering power. It might be some kind of cultivation. The great spirit god had fought with the heavenly talisman Great Emperor before. At his level, he could definitely see through the profundities of the mortal world. That's not true. We scholars gather together to supervise the government and criticize the corruption of the government. This is a matter of course. Forming a clique is to achieve greater things. Feng Yuzhou disagreed. However, what Brother Chen said is the spirit of a scholar, so I can't say otherwise. In fact, I would like Brother Chen to join my spiritual light poetry club. Gu Qinsha knew that the Feng family had great influence in the spiritual state. The scholars in the family formed the Spiritual Light Poetry Club and contacted many scholars in the spiritual state. In fact, it was also a small clique. In the past, even the local officials were afraid of the public opinion of the Spiritual Light Poetry Club. No wonder Feng Yuzhou tried to make friends with scholars everywhere and asked them to join his Spiritual Light Poetry Club. The more people he had, the more he could negotiate with Gu Tanjian. It's not impossible to join this person's poetry club. I'll see what Gu Tanjian is up to. Besides, I can use the power of these people to find clues. Maybe I'll gain something. Gu Qinsha thought to himself, where is the reincarnated person of the martial song star? It's so hard to predict. After a moment of silence, he said, all right, I'll join your poetry club. Ha ha. Feng Yuzhou laughed. Brother Chen's cultivation strength is not low. If you join our poetry club, you'll definitely become the backbone. This was why he entered the tea stall by the roadside and tried to strike up a conversation with Gu Qinsha. Gu Qinsha was dressed like a scholar and was a martial arts master. Feng Yuzhou could tell at a glance that he wanted to make friends with him and bring him into his force. Martial arts masters were not ordinary either. They could be generals in the imperial court, and they were scholars. Therefore, they would definitely be able to get an official position in the future. Moreover, Gu Qinsha was very young, only 16 or 17 years old. In 3 to 5 years, he would become someone great. Born a big family, Feng Yuzhou had good foresight. Young Master, Ding Sampo, the third leader of the Tiger Leopard Alliance, wishes to see you. At this moment, a maidservant came in and handed an invitation to Feng Yuzhou. Oh, quick, invite him in. Feng Yuzhou hurriedly stood up and looked around. Everyone, the Tiger Leopard Alliance was originally a gang in the pugilistic world. Originally, we scholars wouldn't take them seriously. But now, we are no longer to be trifled with. Everyone, please do not show any disdain towards them. Otherwise, you might offend them. We understand. Obviously, all the scholars present had been roped in with Feng Yuzhou at the center. As they spoke, a series of footsteps could be heard. The leader was a burly man who looked like a tower. He gave off a fierce aura of a martial arts master. He seemed to be able to break through to the Tao realm at any time. This was the third leader of the Tiger Leopard Alliance, Ding Sampo. However, he was very respectful to a middle-aged man in a Taoist robe beside him. Greetings, third leader. Feng Yuzhou looked awkward. I was going to visit the Tiger Leopard Alliance tomorrow, but I'm ashamed that I haven't recovered from my injuries. It's fine. I heard that you were injured, so I immediately invited Taoist Nya. Ding Sampo hurriedly bowed. Although I am a rough man, and you may not think highly of my Jianghu gang, I am a person who admires scholars. Today I have brought some gifts, and I hope you will give me face. The scholars present looked at each other. They found this leader of the Tiger Leopard Alliance much more pleasing to the eye. Leader Ding, there's no need to belittle yourself. The Tiger Leopard Alliance's power is connected to both land and water. We still have many places to rely on. Furthermore, Leader Ding is courteous to scholars today. You have the style of an ancient hero. A scholar cupped his hands and bowed. Many scholars also expressed their politeness. Taoist Nya, please use your means to treat the injuries of my friends. Ding Sampo pleaded to the middle-aged Taoist beside him. They only have superficial injuries. However, injuries to the tendons and bones will take 100 days or at least a few months to recover. Physical pain is unavoidable. Since I am working for the prince, and the prince is compassionate towards scholars, I will relieve everyone of their pain. While speaking, Taoist Nya took out a green gourd and shook it. Instantly, a milky white energy surged out from the gourd like a snake. The milky white snake energy drilled into the scholar's wounds. Instantly, their swollen, broken bones and torn skin all healed at an unbelievably quick speed. This is the work of a god. Many scholars were shocked and looked at Taoist Nya. They knew that this priest was really skilled and they couldn't offend him. Gu Qinsha looked on coldly from the side. He could see that this priest was actually at the Tao realm 8 transformation Samadhi true fire. He was just a bit away from cultivating the glass jade body, but his cultivation was stuck at this point and it was tough for him to improve. There's demonic aura in your injuries. If I'm not mistaken, you met a woman in white and green. Am I right? Nya Daoist priest asked. How did you know? Feng Yuzhou was shocked. You met a monster. One of them is a green snake and the other is a white snake. These two monsters are really amazing and are good at sucking one's energy to confuse the scholars. It is already fortunate that you are only injured. Taoist Nye said. Many of the scholars broke out in a cold sweat. Taoist, then what should we do? Scholar Huang's teeth were trembling. Don't worry. No matter how strong they are, they won't dare to do anything. They should be planning something. Taoist Nye said. Men, Ding Sampo called out. A few men carried a few plates with some jewelry on them. This is a meeting gift for all of you. I hope that all of you won't reject it. My Tiger Leopard Alliance wants to renovate the hall and would like some scholars to write poems. No. The scholars were all delighted. Even Gu Qinsha got one. All in all, it was around 1,000, which was really generous. Tomorrow, our alliance leader will return and discuss the cooperation with Brother Feng. 3 days later, the prince will come here. Ding Sampo, try to rope in Feng Yuzhou. Chapter 233. The sky was filled with stars, and a gentle breeze blew. The night was really peaceful and comfortable. Tiger Leopard Alliance third leader Ding Sampo and priest Nye walked out of the Rain Admiration Pavilion. This group of scholars is useless. They just loaf around all day and do nothing. Moreover, they're like ants. I can crush 10,000 of them with one hand. I don't know why the air thinks so highly of them. Nye Daozhong said disdainfully after he went out. The brush of scholars is even stronger than the blade. They have a lot of power in the world. Ding Sampo smiled bitterly. We can't offend these people. Moreover, the prince definitely has a use for them. How can we guess? We can only risk our lives to serve the prince. Very good. You are loyal to the prince. I will report this to him and ask him to reward you. As long as you can accumulate enough merits, it won't be hard for the prince to give you a morality pill. Priest Nye nodded. Also, use the Tiger Leopard League's power to search for information on the two snakes. They have some cultivation. If I capture them and pluck their yin to nourish my yang, I can break through the 8 changes realm and reach the 9 changes realm. Can you do anything to them? Taoist priest. Ding Sampo was really careful. I heard that monsters can only turn their bodies in a human form when they reach a really high realm. That isn't the case. The two snakes had a fortuitous encounter and obtained a talisman crafted by the monster race saint. They can actually use the talisman to turn into human form, but the monster energy is still there. If I am not wrong, they're just a transformation 7, so it won't be hard for me to capture them. Priest Nye said, they are monsters from Mount Shouyang and belong to the 10,000 Dragon Nest. Their appearance here might spoil the prince's plans. The prince personally came to Wuzhou and spread news that he is recruiting heroes. He is actually giving out news of the ancient dragon-raising pill. That is something that can turn one into a genius. Aren't you afraid that people will be jealous? Ding Sampo asked. The prince has his own reasons. Priest Nye frowned. I can't guess it either. Priest, my Tiger Leopard Alliance has prepared dozens of beautiful virgins for you. Ding Sampo suddenly said respectfully, they are for you to use to increase your cultivation. I hope that you can give me some pointers. Very good. You are very filial. Nye Daozhong laughed. I'll teach you the plucking secret art. That demonic yin-yang scholar was still my junior. Ding Sampo suddenly thought of something. However, Taoist leader, you absolutely cannot kill those women. Otherwise, there will be trouble. If something happens, it will cause problems for the heir apparent. The laws of the imperial court are extremely strict. You don't have to worry about that. I'm just taking their yin qi. After that, I'll give the medicine to make up for it. At most, they'll lose some of their lifespan. Priest Nye said, I know what I'm doing, and I won't learn from those old devils who just pluck them until they die. Even if they die, it will be decades later. That's good. Ding Sampo nodded. Actually, if this were an ordinary imperial court with Taoist priest divine abilities, you would be able to do as you please. Why would I care about these things? Nye Daozhong frowned and didn't reply. Sure enough, snakes and rats are in cahoots. Gu Qinsha was in the Rain Admiration Pavilion and heard everything clearly. With his cultivation, he was at the Dao Realm 9 Transformation Glass J-Body, and his hearing and eyesight were really sharp. At this moment, killing intent rose up in his heart, but thinking about it, he didn't want to alert the enemy. Gu Tanjian would come to Wuzhou in 3 days, so it was best if he hid first. After chatting with those scholars for a while, the sky had already turned dark. Everyone returned to their own rooms to sleep. Gu Chunsha quietly concealed his body and flew up. He wanted to find the green and white snakes and calculate the astrological signs again in the desolate mountain ridges. Otherwise, he would cause an anomaly in the city. So, he was invisible and flew out of Wuzhou City. In just a moment, he was in the nearby mountains. There were many beautiful mountains outside of Wuzhou City. There were many deep pools and waterfalls, and the weather was nice. Many people would come to the mountains to tour or climb high up to look into the distance. However, there were few people in the deeper parts of the mountains. During the day, a bunch of princes found a broken temple. They saw two beauties and went to flirt with them, which was why they suffered such a huge loss. Gu Chunsha stood high in the sky and looked around. He used his sun and moon dragon eye to sweep hundreds of miles around. Even bugs could be seen clearly. Although it wasn't as good as the Heaven Eye hanging space at Tao Realm 16 transformation, it wasn't something that normal people could compare to. After scanning the area for a while, he discovered some clues. Suddenly, his body landed in front of a broken temple in the mountains. The dilapidated temple occupied a large area, but it was in ruins everywhere. Spiders had formed webs, and some of the halls were covered in dust. The statues were also covered in bird droppings. It was unknown which ancient deity's temple belonged to. Ever since the heavenly talisman Immortal Monarch abolished the worship of the gods, many temples in the world became dilapidated. No one worshipped them, and they lost their incense. Some of the worshippers were dismissed, and there were many such dilapidated temples in the mountains. In front of the temple was a giant square. There were stone tripods, stone stoves, stone tablets, stone chelants, stone cranes, and one could tell that this temple had many believers when it was at its peak. Gu Chunsha used the starlight to observe the surroundings. He looked at the inscriptions on the tablets and realized that they were scriptures and teachings. This temple was dedicated to a deity called Hugu. And who? Is she a fox demon that pretends to be a true god to enjoy the worship of humans? Gu Chunsha thought back to the records in the history books. Before Heaven Talisman Emperor, many demons pretended to be gods and gathered believers to enjoy incense and cultivate demonic techniques. This was what the officials called worship. In history, the strongest demon even opened up a space with great power. He proclaimed the 6 paths of reincarnation and the 18 hells. After death, the souls of people would not return to heaven and earth. Instead, they would enter his so-called hell space and become a ghost, becoming the demon's ghost soldiers. Later on, this peerless demon was defeated by the immortal Tao. They broke his hell and 6 paths of reincarnation, allowing the souls of the dead to return to heaven and earth. But even so, the 6 paths of reincarnation and hell were still deeply rooted in people's hearts. Many people believe that there would be hell and reincarnation after death. A true demon didn't kill and eat people or create chaos in the world. Instead, he changed the order of the people and made them follow his ideology. This was killing people's hearts. Observing the dilapidated Hugu deity temple, Gu Chunsha recalled the records of various humans, deities, demons, immortals, and ghosts recorded in history. He found it fascinating. Every time Gu Chunsha read, he felt that the peerless demon who created the 18 levels of hell and 6 paths of reincarnation was very impressive. This person almost made his ideology orthodox. This was a miracle. In front of this Ant-Hu temple, there were scriptures that recorded some of the tragic conditions of hell. It advised people to worship Ant-Hu and be devout in it. After death, they would not enter hell. This was also following the theory of the peerless demon. Even the teachings of the 6 paths of demon sects and Yama demon sects were actually the teachings of the peerless demon. History is real and fake. The winner takes all. Set your heart for the heavens and earth. Gu Chunsha sighed. He seemed to have comprehended something, and his cultivation level was on the verge of a breakthrough. Heaven, earth, and man seemed to have grasped onto something important. He, his sister, It's so late, and yet another elementary scholar is here. Did the bunch of elementary scholars go to talk to someone? At this point, laughter could be heard from within the temple. In a desolate mountain, a broken temple, and a spider's web, it was indeed shocking to hear someone speak human language. But how could Gu Qinsha be scared? He pretended to be flustered and almost tripped. Who is it? Who cares about demons and ghosts? I am well-read and have a strong sense of righteousness. How dare you come near me? He. Laughter could be heard again. He's a bookworm. He's scared to death, but he's still putting up a front. All right, little Ching, don't scare him. Just chase him away. We still have matters to attend to here. A gentle voice could be heard again. My two ladies. Gu Qinsha pretended to be calm this time. He cupped his hands towards the temple and said, I am one of your companions who offended you this morning. I am deeply sorry for their actions. After my friends returned, they did not repent and invited a powerful Taoist from the Tiger and Leopard League to harm you. I came here late at night to warn you two ladies. Oh, hearing Gu Qinsha's words, a young lady of about 15 or 16 years of age appeared in front of him. She was dressed in green and was extremely beautiful. She floated in the air in front of him. He pretended to be frightened and took a step back. Since he was pretending to be a scholar, he naturally had to act like one. From Taoist, he knew that these two ladies were demons and belonged to the nest of 10,000 dragons. This meant that they were definitely related to demon sage Li Wanlong. Gu Tanjian wanted to come to Wu province, and demon sage Li Wanlong also sent demons here. It would be strange if it wasn't for the reincarnation of Wu Chu Xing. We are demons, and we will eat people. Aren't you afraid? The young lady in green appeared and floated in the air, continuing to threaten him. Not all demons are evil. Gu Qinsha said, Today, the two of you only taught my friend a lesson. I can tell that you two are kind-hearted. That's why I am afraid that you will be harmed by the Taoist. So I came here to report. What Taoist can capture us? The young lady in green said in disdain. That Taoist is called Nya. He said that he has cultivated to some 8 transformations of Tao realm, and that you are 7 transformations or something. He is very confident that you are from some Mount Shouyang. Gu Qinsha hurriedly said. Oh, shock appeared on the young lady's face. Right as she was about to say something, a gentle voice spread out from the temple. Little Green, bring this person in. Okay. The young lady waved her hands, and instantly an energy current lifted Gu Qinsha up and flew him into the hall. This girl's earth energy is really thick, and she definitely isn't at 7 transformations of Tao realm. Gu Qinsha thought to himself, but he didn't probe. He flew past several layers of damaged halls and landed in the deepest hall. The path outside was blocked, and one couldn't walk in at all. They could only fly, so no one could explore the deep hall. At that moment, Gu Qinsha saw a statue of a young lady worshipped in the inner hall. The young lady had a smile on her face and looked very gentle. She didn't have the high and mighty aura of the statue. Everything was clean and tidy. //. Chapter 234. This girl did not have a trace of mortal chi. She floated in the air like a dream. Her temperament was peerless. She was a goddess that should only appear in dreams, not in the mortal world. Even though Gu Qinsha had seen many beauties, he was still attracted by this girl's appearance and temperament. He nodded to himself. Although this girl is a snake demon, her demonic aura is not cold or ruthless. It is pure gentleness. It seems that she has a quiet personality and has received guidance from an expert. I've seen you before. I was momentarily distracted by Mrs. Elegance. Please forgive me. Gu Qinsha had truly put himself in the shoes of a scholar. His transformation of sun and moon was an expert in transformation. It was not only the transformation of martial arts, the transformation of earth energy, but also the transformation of personality and temperament. This desolate mountain temple is deserted. You know that we are demons. Why are you not afraid? What a brave scholar. Little Qing floated around in the hall, still maintaining the playfulness of a little girl. You must have read too many of those fantasy novels. Are you thinking of romantic encounters? Little Qing, don't be rude. The girl in white's tone became more serious. This young master came with good intentions. Don't misunderstand. I taught you so many human etiquettes. How could you forget all of them? Quickly come down and make tea for this young master. Oh, little Ching came down reluctantly. With a flick of her finger, a flame fell to the ground and burned. She then took out a jade pot and boiled it. She also took out a teacup and tea leaves. In a short while, the temple was filled with the fragrance of tea. The girl in white waved her hand, and the tea floated up and landed in Gu Chencha's hands. Gu Chensha picked up the jade cup and took a sip. He felt refreshed. It was even better than drunken cloud plum blossom. Good tea. He drank it in one gulp. This is spirit-seeping tea from Mount Shouyang. I can see that you're already a martial arts master. You can be considered an outstanding scholar. After drinking this tea, your body and mind will be cleansed, your wisdom will increase, and your bones will be tempered. Not long after, you will definitely become a martial arts master. The girl in white's tone was as calm as flowing water. This is to thank you for your kindness. Thank you, young lady. Gu Chensha hurriedly bowed. I'm not greedy for the reward. Actually, that Taoist priest isn't a righteous person. He said he wanted to capture the ladies and pluck them. I'm just acting out a moment of righteousness. That Taoist priest, Nia, has remarkable abilities. It's better for the two ladies to avoid him and not stay here. It's fine if that Taoist comes. As long as he dares to come, I'll teach him a lesson. Little Ching snorted coldly. Perhaps the two ladies have boundless transcendence energy and are not afraid of that Taoist Nia. However, that Taoist Nia is a subordinate of the current dynasty's crown prince Hang's crown prince, Gu Tanjian. If you provoke that crown prince, I'm afraid it will be very troublesome. Gu Chensha bowed again. Gu Tanjian is unfathomable. Even the young master is afraid of him. Sister, should we avoid him? Little Ching's expression changed. This goddess Wagu temple is the location of fate for the two of us. We must not leave this place. This is the advice given to us by Lord Demonic Sage. Although Goddess Wagu wasn't a true god, she has enjoyed thousands of years of incense offerings. She has blessed the land and is one of the strongest of our demon race. Although she has fallen, she has left behind some things that are about to appear. If we miss this opportunity, we will lose the fate that we will never meet again. The lady in white said, "This may be our devil's tribulation. If we want to obtain fate, we will have to face the tribulation. How can we obtain fate without any problems?" Sister is right. If there are benefits, there will be tribulation. Little Ching nodded. That's fine. You and I will see who exactly is coming to deal with us. Goddess Wagu is a perverted sacrifice that bewitches the hearts of the people. How can it be considered as blessing the land? Gu Chensha deliberately refuted. Nonsense. Goddess Wagu can cure illnesses and save lives. Which part of it has not blessed the land? Little Ching was angry. You scholars only know how to talk all day long. Once you've started, you'll abandon. You're useless. I feel that the imperial court should abolish the perverted sacrifice and open a medical center. When you are sick, you should not seek help from the gods. Instead, you should solve your own problems. This is the way to give wisdom to the people. Gu Chensha started to reason in front of the white and green snakes. Furthermore, Goddess Wagu doesn't have any theories of her own. She continues the teachings of the ancient demons who created the cycle of reincarnation. She used it to scare the innocent people so that they would listen to her. Look at the inscription at the entrance. Although it is said to encourage people to do good, there are also some threatening words. Some fabricated stories, such as insulting Goddess Wagu, will bring bad luck. This is definitely not what the gods would do. Nonsense. Little Ching said angrily, "You are asking for a beating." Stop. The lady in white shouted and apologized to Gu Chensha. My little sister is not sensible. Please forgive her. Listening to your words, I know that you are a scholar with penetrating insight. In the future, you'll be a great person. Miss Little Ching is naive and romantic. I would not dare to blame her. Gu Chensha waved his hands. I was just having an academic debate. Thank you for your information. However, the next few days will be very dangerous. It would be better for you to leave this place as soon as possible. The lady in white said, I know that what you two ladies are about to do is very important. I know some martial arts and will stay here to protect you. Clipchamp said, TSK, you, with your weak martial arts, how strong do you think you are? I can kill 100 of you with a flick of my finger. Little Ching snorted. Don't be rude. The lady in white scolded again. Young master has good intentions. I know that my abilities are weak. However, I am an elementary scholar. If someone from the imperial court were to deal with you two ladies, I might be able to defend myself. Clipchamp said, this matter is very dangerous. It will be better for you not to participate. The lady in white waved her hand. Just as she was about to speak, a cold wind suddenly blew outside. There were faint sounds of ghosts crying and gods howling. Young master, quickly hide behind the statue. The lady in white's face changed. She waved her hand. Immediately, an astral energy wrapped around Clipchamp and hid him behind the statue. Jia, 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 jia. A sinister laugh came from outside. There was another person in the hall. This person had red hair. His face was treacherous. His nose was hooked. There was even a single horn on his head. He did not look like a human. However, his body was emitting a bloody aura. It was mixed with demonic aura. One look, and one could tell that he was an old demon. Jiang Shuihe, what are you doing here? The lady in white did not panic when she saw the demon. Didn't the young master tell you to wait outside of Wu province? Your demonic aura was detected by the imperial court. Wouldn't the young master's plan be ruined? You two sisters are really dishonest. You came out to help the young master, but you actually hooked up with a scholar to eat. You two sisters usually pretend to be decent. There are so many outstanding figures of our demon race who would like to have sex with you, but they were rejected. Do you really think that you two are as pure as ice and as pure as jade? Just a moment ago, I saw the scholar hiding behind Hu Gu's statue. The demon called Jiang Shui, he let out a lewd smile. Jiang Shui, you still dare to talk nonsense. I can only show you who is stronger. Little Qing's finger emitted astral energy. It seemed to condense into a sword. Jiang Shui, why did you leave your post? Why did you come here? The lady in white frowned. We are in charge of the matters around Wu Province City. You have your duty. Jia Jia. Jiang Shui laughed again. I want to share. You two are fated to meet. It seems that you want to obtain some of the things left behind by Aunt Hu. I don't want anything else. I only want the Heavenly Demon Form Refining Pill and the Heavenly Demon Book. Jiang Shui, you are quite arrogant. You actually dare to ask for these things. The lady in white's tone was no longer gentle. It was filled with killing intent. This is a rare opportunity. In the past, if Aunt Hu didn't obtain the Heavenly Demon Book, she wouldn't have been able to build a godly temple and proclaim herself as a god. She enjoyed the worship of the people. Even the imperial court and the immortal Tao couldn't do anything to her. Jiang Shui looked at the two sisters with a lascivious expression. You two are lucky. You obtained the form transforming talisman and obtained a human form. I have cultivated bitterly for many years. I took pills and even burned my body in a furnace. I have suffered so much just to reconstruct my meridians and acupoints. I wanted to transform into a human form, but I didn't succeed. If you two sisters don't agree, then don't blame me for being ruthless. You dare to disobey the young master's order? The lady in white knew that Jiang Shui did not come with good intentions. What young lord? At this moment, another voice rang out. A Taoist appeared in the hall. It was Taoist Nya. He nodded at Jiang Shui. Brother Jiang has long sought refuge with our clan's prince and told me a secret. I didn't expect you two snake demons to have fate with Aunt Hu, this heavenly fox. It seems like there are many secrets hidden in this broken temple. Since there are treasures, we will definitely take them away and offer them to the prince. As for you two sisters, you are already in the prince's pocket. With just the two of you, you want to deal with us sisters? Little Qing hooked her finger. If I'm not wrong, your sister is circulating her astral qi with all her might in an attempt to communicate with this statue of Aunt Hu. Taoist Nye chuckled. Your sister's strength has been suppressed by 90%. You're the only one left. How can you be a match for us? Then you two can come up and try. The lady in white's expression changed. She knew that Taoist Nye was right. Heavenly Demon Book? When Gu Chansha heard the conversation behind the statue, he was slightly moved. This book was no small matter. During the Desolate Era, many huge demons gathered together and exchanged their cultivation experiences. They recorded down their cultivation techniques, and in the end, they analyzed them and gathered them into a supreme profound that was passed down. It was to allow the demon race to be on equal footing with the heavens. This book was a heaven-class cultivation technique. The book itself was a supreme treasure. It was similar to Limitless Heavenly Sex, Limitless Heavenly Book, and Hung Clan's Eternal Heavenly Book. He didn't expect that aunt who would actually obtain this book. No wonder she could proclaim herself as a god. He opened his sun-moon dragon eyes, and indeed, he saw the lady in white sitting on the praying mat in front of the statue. Her innate astral chi was flowing into the statue. This statue was like a bottomless pit. It kept absorbing the astral chi from her body, making her unable to escape. Her strength was greatly suppressed, making it difficult for her to even move. Chapter 235. Rumble. At this time, inside the palace, Nye Daoist and Jiang Shui he both attacked Little Qing. Two innate astral chi fiercely attacked, and in an instant, Little Qing's astral chi was scattered. More importantly, she couldn't dodge, otherwise she could still move around for a while. If she dodged, Nye Daoist and Jiang Shui he would attack her sister, so she had to stop them. Little Qing, you are too careless. I know your cultivation. Even if you have some fortuitous encounters, it is still limited. Jiang Shui he suddenly grabbed, and his innate astral chi turned into a blood net covering the sky. Little Qing, be careful. The white-robed woman was shocked. Little White Snake, you should worry about yourself. Nye Daoist laughed lewdly. You are mine. Whoosh. All of Nye Daoist's innate astral chi turned into a demonic claw and fiercely grabbed down. The situation was extremely dangerous. Wong. At this time, a mountain-like and ocean-like power suddenly surged out from the white-robed woman and Little Qing's body, instantly increasing their strength by several times. A huge snake appeared on Little Qing's head and fiercely swallowed Jiang Shui. Jiang Shui was shocked, and with a loud roar, blood-red astral chi erupted from his body, and he vomited a lot of blood. Blood demon body disintegration. He activated the most damaging secret technique, causing the huge snake to slightly loosen. Seizing the opportunity, he suddenly flew out, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. At this time, the white-robed woman's innate astral chi also turned into a white snake, biting towards Nye Daoist, and with a slight suction, it completely swallowed Nye Daoist's attack. Nye Daoist broke out in cold sweat. You obtained Goddess Hugu's inheritance? He didn't have the heart to continue fighting, so he took out a talisman and instantly wrapped it around his body, and with a thunderclap, he also escaped without a trace. This talisman was painstakingly refined, and it was very precious, but at this time, he could only activate it, lest he die. Shoo! Little Qing landed on the ground, completely unaware of what had just happened and where that power had come from. The white-robed woman was also very confused. She only felt that incomparably pure power, as if a god's boundless power had entered her body from the statue behind her, causing her cultivation to increase by several times. But after repelling the enemy, this power disappeared without a trace. She immediately looked at Gu Chansha, who was behind the statue, and realized that this scholar had a blank look on his face. He had no idea what was going on. Could it be that the power left behind by Aunt, who really helped us just now? The woman in white continued to inject her innate chi into the statue, but she found that it was still devouring her power, and there was no sign of anything strange. Big sister, was it really Hugu's spirit? Little Qing said happily. It should be. The white-robed woman nodded. If it wasn't for the power left behind by Aunt Hu, How would we have the ability to defeat Jiang Shui He and Daoist Nya? What about the scholar? Little Qing asked. Did he faint from fright? I'm still here. I didn't faint. Gu Qinsha walked out and flicked the dust off his hands. You two ladies are really blessed. It seems like you've already survived the calamity. Looks like you're really brave. Little Qing looked at him. Didn't you say you would protect us? Why didn't you come out to fight those two demons? Gu Qinsha smiled awkwardly. I didn't come back to my senses for a while. Besides, the two fairies and the two demons were too strong. I couldn't interfere at all. All right, stop mocking the young master. The woman in white looked deeply at Gu Qinsha. Perhaps young master has brought us luck today. Now, I've taken a lot of time. I feel like I only need a few days to unlock the secret of the statue and obtain some of the things left behind by Aunt Hu. Big sister, you said that when the imperial court destroyed Hugu's temple, it was said that our Yao race's omnipotent Hugu was killed by the imperial court. But why did the imperial court not take away Hugu's treasures? Little Qing asked. I don't know. But the two of us have obtained the talisman left behind by the great sage of the demon race. Although the great sage of the demon race has fallen, he was once the founder of Aunt Hugu. We should be able to use this fate to obtain some of the things left behind by Aunt Hugu. The woman in white said, It's a pity that my cultivation has not reached a high level. My Xiantian Gang Qi is not strong enough. Otherwise, I would have obtained Hugu's treasures. This green snake and white snake demon seem to have some kind of fate with them. In that case, I will help them. Gu Qinsha thought to himself. I also want to see what Hugu left behind. After thinking for a while, he secretly injected his Xiantian Gang Qi into the woman in white's body. His Xiantian Gang Qi was already shapeless. It could change between shapeless and shapeless. It could be used skillfully and moved according to his will. The woman in white's body trembled. Her face showed an expression of disbelief. It seems like I have a reaction. What reaction? Little Qing asked hurriedly. The woman in white didn't speak. The Xiantian Gang Qi in her body circulated more and more intensely. Her body emitted the roars of 10,000 dragons as it rushed into the depths of the statue. Something in the statue seemed to be activated as it emitted waves of silver light. Demon Sage Talisman Amulet. At that moment, a talisman seemed to rush into the statue from the woman in white's body. Crack! A spatial node opened inside the statue. Then, in some mysterious space-time turbulence, a demonic book was attracted and flew out of the statue. The book was a leather scroll that looked very ancient. There were demonic runes on it that were ancient and mysterious. The book slowly flew out. The runes on the book seemed to have thousands of eyes that could suck in one's soul. Book of the Divine Demon. At a glance, Gu Qinshan knew that the book was the legendary demon race treasure book. It was a supreme divine artifact on the same level as the peerless heavenly book and eternal heavenly book. The book itself was also a supreme dharma treasure, or rather, a life. However, the book seemed to be in a deep slumber and didn't display its power. Indeed, these two snakes are fated. Gu Qinshan nodded. This thing can only be obtained if one is fated. If I'm not wrong, this statue is a node that connects to the space-time turbulence. As long as one obtains some heritage and injects energy into it, this statue will summon the existence of the Book of the Divine Demon in the space-time turbulence. This book will be attracted and fall into the hands of the fated person. This book is extremely powerful, but unfortunately, it might have experienced a great battle back then and expended a lot of energy. It's still in a deep slumber and only has some instincts. This book was a heavenly treasure, a holy book of the ancient demon race. However, Gu Qinsha didn't have any thoughts about it. He wouldn't go so far as to snatch something from the two women. Book of the Divine Demon. The two snakes were extremely excited. Not only did the book contain peerless demonic arts, but it was also a nearly invincible dharma treasure. After obtaining it, their cultivation would be smooth sailing and they would ascend to the heavens in a single step. The white snake waved her hand and was about to collect the book. But at that moment, something unexpected happened. Above the sky, crackling sounds could be heard. It was as though a strong gust of wind blew. Then, dark clouds covered the entire temple as black gas billowed. Then, amidst the black gas, a gigantic hand that was a few acres in size grabbed down. With a single move, the book of the divine demon flew towards the gigantic hand. The two snakes were alarmed. They wanted to fly up, but it was to no avail. The gigantic hand emitted a monstrous, baneful aura that left them immobile. They couldn't even circulate their stellar energy. This was the power of supreme soul deterrence. At a glance, Gu Qinshan knew that the black gas and the gigantic hand were formed from the connate stellar energy of an extremely powerful person. It was impossible for the two snakes to withstand it. Even if he injected stellar energy into their bodies, it would be useless. A treasure like the Book of the Divine Demon could not fall into the hands of this person. Immediately, Gu Qinshan was about to take action. But at that moment, a blob of light suddenly appeared on the Book of the Divine Demon. Amidst the light, a woman appeared. This woman was identical to the statue of Ant Hu in the temple. Behind her were 9 furry tails. This was the 9-tailed celestial fox. The woman appeared on the Book of the Divine Demon. With a gentle wave of her hand, lightning suddenly descended. There was a huge clap of thunder in the sky, causing the gigantic hand to disappear. The black clouds also dissipated completely. A shrill scream came from deep within the black clouds. A black shadow flew away like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bough, not daring to look back. After scaring away the black clouds and gigantic hand, the 9-tailed celestial fox looked down. She smiled at Gu Qinshan and nodded. Suddenly, she disappeared. The Book of the Divine Demon rapidly descended and landed in Gu Qinshan's hands. Ant Hu has appeared. Why is the Book of the Divine Demon in his hands? Is he also someone fated with it? The two snakes were shocked. Gu Qinshan was also a little surprised. He knew that his concealment might have been seen through by the remnant will of Ant Hu in the Book of the Divine Demon. It was true that his cultivation level was profound. Even great Tao Golden Core experts could not see through it, but a demon like Ant Hu would definitely be able to sense something. I don't know what's going on either. When Gu Qinshan saw the two snakes looking at him strangely, he hurriedly handed the Book of the Divine Demon over. Please return this book to the two ladies. I have no intention of coveting the treasure. Young master is righteous. I'm very impressed. The white snake took the Book of the Divine Demon and bowed slightly. Young master seems to be someone fated with us. We do not dare to defy Ant Hu's arrangements. If young master is willing, you can cultivate this book with us? Sister, little Qing hurriedly said, how can we do that? Just now, Ant Hu's remnant will help us drive away the enemy, and then place the Book of the Divine Demon in young master's hands. From this, it can be seen that young master is fated with us. We cannot defy Ant Hu's will. The white snake shook her head and used her gaze to stop little Qing's objection. That's good. Little Qing was extremely unwilling. Thank you, fairies. Gu Qinshan did not covet the cultivation technique of the Book of the Divine Demon. He only wanted to find out what the nest of 10,000 dragons and the great spirit god behind Gu Tanjian was planning in Wuzhou City through various clues. Chapter 236. Young Master, now that we have the Heaven Monster book, many powers know about it. It is really dangerous for you to follow us. There is another way, which is for you to head back first. If we are fine, you can head to Shouyang Mountain to find us, and we will teach you cultivation techniques. The white snake said, since the two of you are in trouble, then I have to help. Gu Qinshan shook his head. I also want to learn some celestial techniques. Maybe I can help the two of you. What did you say? Little Qing laughed coldly. How can celestial techniques be so easy? Do you know how long we have cultivated for? Without pills, experts to guide us, and decades of hard work, it is just wishful thinking. Okay, little Qing, since this young master isn't afraid of danger, then forget it. The white snake sighed. But sister, we still have to protect this burden. Little Qing scoffed. I have my own plans. White Snake stroked the Sky Fae book in her hand. Let's leave this place immediately and change to another place to comprehend the mysteries of this book. If we can comprehend even a tiny bit of it, our strength will greatly increase. We will have a better chance in this turbulent time. But young master told us to wait for his orders in Hugu God Temple. If we leave, we will be suspected of not listening to orders. Little Qing hesitated. Jiang Shui, he has already betrayed young master and joined the imperial dynasty's Prince Gu Tanjian. The White Snake frowned. We have to report this to young master. But the most important thing is that the Heaven Monster book can't fall into the hands of others. Then where are we going? Are we going to wear it? Little Qing asked. I have my own plans. The White Snake waved her hands, and suddenly energy wrapped around Gu Qinsha. The three of them flew up and left Hugu God Temple. The White Snake flew low in the air and flashed in the forest. Gu Qinsha knew that flying consumed a lot of energy. In the past, he would need to rest and replenish his energy or consume pills. The higher he flew, the harder it was to sustain and the more energy he consumed. He understood the cultivation of the two snakes. They were at Tao Realm 8 Transformation Samadhi True Fire. They were a realm higher than what Taoist Nya had predicted, but they had yet to cultivate the glass jade body. Their stellar chi was rather vigorous, but it was still difficult for them to maintain high-speed flight for a long time. Fortunately, the two of them did not fly too far. They landed on a barren mountain that was about 100 miles away from Hugu Temple. Sister, why don't we run further away? Little Qing asked. The most dangerous place is also the safest place. The White Snake looked at Gu Qinsha. What do you think, young master? There's a saying in the art of war. The real is an illusion, and the illusion is the real. Gu Qinsha said casually. After this, there will definitely be enemies who will come to investigate Hugu Temple. Those enemies did not find anything, so they will think that we have already escaped far away. They will never think that we are hiding in the nearby mountains. Not bad. The White Snake praised and stopped in front of the canyon in the mountains. She waved her sleeves and said, Open. A cave appeared. The three of them went in, and the cave closed again. The cave went deep into the ground, and there was a magic altar that was half an acre in size. It was very simple. During these few days, we will hide here and cultivate. The White Snake said, I have prepared this place for a long time. I flipped the Heaven Monster book, and there is a technique called the Heaven Monster Movement Technique. As long as we cultivate it, we will be able to hide our bodies. Even if experts use the Heaven Eye Suspension Technique, they won't be able to find us. After cultivating the Heaven Eye Suspension Technique to Tao Realm 15 Transformation, it was useless to hide in the mountain. When people use their soul to look down from the sky, they would be able to see everything in the depths of the mountains and rivers. The mountain was pitch black, and one couldn't even see their fingers. But the White Snake took out a moonstone and hung it up. Instantly, one could see everything clearly. She sat cross-legged on the altar and took out a pill. This is a yellow bud pill that I refined. I used many herbs and used my own Samadhi True Fire to burn away the impurities. Only the purest medicinal energy is left. If young master eats it, you won't need to eat for 10 days. It can also cleanse your body and increase the strength of your flesh and blood. Thank you, Fairy. Gu Qinsha swallowed it. He didn't need it at all, but he had to continue his disguise. Sister's yellow bud pill is much better than that Overlord blood pill or energy replenishing pill. For a scholar like you to get one, you were really lucky. Little Green was really sharp-tongued. Little Green, comprehend this book with me. The White Snake said. The two of them flipped open the book on the small altar and read it carefully. Gu Qinsha had a smile on his face. He looked at the two of them frowning like they were in deep thought and couldn't understand the meaning of the book. He couldn't help but say, Fairies, can you let me take a look? I'm good at reading. Oh, young master probably doesn't know monster race words, right? The White Snake raised her head. I am familiar with all sorts of books and know a little about ancient monster language, bone language, shaman language, dragon seal, and phoenix seal. Gu Qinsha said calmly. Young master, please come up and take a look." The white snake waved her hand. Gu Chensha approached the altar and looked at the words on the heavenly demon book. He scanned it and immediately nodded. No wonder the two ladies found it hard to understand. This language is ancient, and it is extremely simple and concise. Look at these two words. They contain many meanings. The meaning of these words is that the ancient demon sage lamented about the many changes in the world and the limits of one's lifespan. Living beings have to use their wisdom to comprehend the profound changes and find the lost vitality from the loopholes in creation. Why is there an end to the lifespan of living beings? That is because the heavenly Tao is constantly taking away your life. The cultivation of life is to do our best to find the lost life. Gu Chansha pointed to the opening article and explained, "This is the general outline. It is truly exquisite and requires careful study. If this article were to be circulated, I'm afraid it would immediately cause a huge commotion in the scholarly world. Countless great Confucian scholars would study it and write thousands of explanatory articles to form a school of thought. This is the way of the sage." Gu Chench's knowledge was many times higher than the white snake and the green snake. He studied tirelessly, and his research on various schools of thought was not inferior to some great Confucian scholars. As he read carefully, he could see many mysteries in the heavenly demon book. At this time, the white snake and the green snake wanted to seek his advice. The white snake listened and nodded. She had a look of enlightenment on her face. "Young master is really knowledgeable, as expected of a scholar. How would we know that a few words could contain so many profound meanings? This is just studying since young. If the two fairies want to comprehend the heavenly demon book, I'm afraid you will have to go to the mortal world to study more." In terms of literature, Gu Chansha had received systematic education from the royal family since he was young. How could the two demons in the wilderness compare to him? After receiving Gu Chench's guidance, the green snake and the white snake seemed to have learned many things. They carefully analyzed it and read it again. They already understood some of the essence. As Gu Chansha read the general outline of the opening chapter of the heavenly demon book, the image of the ancient demon sage appeared in his consciousness. His cultivation and comprehension of the great Tao exceeded the green snake and the white snake by many times. At this moment, when he read the general outline, he had some insights. Demon race words that contained the true essence appeared in his mind. Seeing the words was like seeing the person. In the depths of Gu Chench's consciousness, demon race sages appeared. There was an azure lion, a white elephant, a roc, a crane, a colorful deer, a qilin, a phoenix, and even a divine dragon. These great demon race sages wrote down the true essence of their comprehensions, and they were hidden in the words. Gu Chensha was deep in thought. Suddenly, the depths of his mind trembled. Countless thoughts came one after another. Endless true meanings floated back and forth. Then, the depths of his mind transformed into 10,000 versions of himself. Each version was thinking about different things, performing different martial arts, and deducing different futures. But these 10,000 of him were an inseparable whole. Then, the 10,000 of him turned into all sorts of shapes. Some were kids, some were old, some were strong, some were young, some were middle-aged, and some were even women. Then, these 10,000 versions of himself each had their own roles. There were scholars, officials, generals, soldiers, farmers, craftsmen, husbands, wives, children, and even prostitutes, maids, eunuchs, and so on. The 10,000 of him in his consciousness seemed to have turned into all living beings in the world. All sorts of people and occupations were being played out by the 10,000 of him in his consciousness. He was the living beings in the world, and the living beings in the world were him. At that moment, he reached the Tao Realm Transformation 10 and could do 10,000 things with one heart. The Tao Realm Transformation 10 was to do 1,000 things with one heart, but he could do 10,000 things with one heart. Now that he advanced, he had a deep comprehension of the clumsy Fist 9 techniques. This was what he comprehended from reading the Heaven Monster book General Principles. Ha! Gu Chensha felt really good. So that is the case. I obtained the Heaven Monster Book General Principles written by many monster race sages, and it is really beneficial to my Tao. Clumsy Fist is the Tao of common people. If the Heaven Tao is lacking, common people will mend it. The Heaven Tao was originally incomplete, so common people were born. Their purpose was to mend the Heaven Tao and run the universe. Even if they are dumb, they are noble. Since that is the case, then my Clumsy Fist isn't Clumsy Fist. I shall name it the Common People Heaven Mending Technique. If the Heaven Tao was lacking, common people would mend it. This was the newest theory that Gu Chansha comprehended. As the saying went, heaven and earth were heartless and treated all living beings like dogs. The Heaven Tao wouldn't care about the life and death of all living beings. This was the supreme truth. But Gu Chansha comprehended it carefully and finally comprehended the theory that if the Heaven Tao was lacking, common people would mend it. From then on, his martial arts and spells stepped into a whole new level. If not for the fact that he had only cultivated for a short period of time, he would have become a celestial path ancestor in a few more decades. It was this sort of comprehension that allowed him to break through and step into the 10th transformation of the Tao realm. Once one reached the Tao realm transformation 10, it could be said that one had entered the 29 out of the 36 transformations. The 29 transformations focused on the cultivation of the soul. If I didn't use the fate of these two snake demons, I wouldn't have been able to see the Heaven Monster Book General Principles. Naturally, I wouldn't have been able to comprehend and create the Common People Heaven Mending Technique. Gu Chansha was overjoyed. He had comprehended the way in one day, and his strength had increased by several folds. If he made a move now, it would probably be earth-shattering. He had to thank the fate of these two snake demons. If not for them, the Heaven Monster Book wouldn't have appeared. Chapter 237. Demonic fog shrouds the sun. Black clouds shroud the sky, conceal. In the Dharma altar in the belly of the mountain, the green and white snakes circulated their bodies and suddenly spewed out a black fog. Immediately, it was pitch black in the cave. They couldn't even sense the direction of the magnetic field. This was the minor universal concealment reversal fog spell from the Sky Demon book. This was a minor spell, but the stellar energy changes were rather ingenious, especially when it used the connate stellar energy to distort and change the magnetic field, causing one's essence soul to lose its sense. If someone were to cast the heavenly eye suspension in the sky, they would only see that the belly of the mountain was as empty as a field. There was nothing there. Over the past few days, the green and white snakes had already cultivated this Dharma spell to a certain extent. They had basically avoided many searches. Gu Chansha sensed that many experts had come to observe with the Gu Divine Temple as the center. There were even experts who cast the 15 transformations, Heavenly Eye Suspension, to observe. From the looks of it, there are many hidden talents in Wuzhou City. I'm afraid that the reincarnated people of Wutsu Star are about to appear. I must not let it fall into the hands of heretic Taoists. Father's intention is for the Celestial Calming Department to recruit all the reincarnated people of Wutsu Star into the department. Gu Chansha thought to himself. Over the past few days, he had read quite a number of cultivation techniques in the Sky Fae book. His comprehension ability exceeded the green and white snakes by 100 times. However, he only took a look at those cultivation techniques. The greatest value of the Sky Fae book was the book itself and the general principles. The general principles describe the connection between living beings and the world, as well as the profundity of life. The green and white snakes couldn't understand. Gu Chansha cultivated the sun of heaven's God-confirming art and comprehended the vicissitudes of the world. He was proficient in the Tao of fiendish demons and had studied history books. The changes of the human Tao, the vicissitudes of dynasties, the joys and sorrows of partings and reunions almost resonated with the ancient demon sages, so he naturally gained a lot. The green and white snakes possess the Sky Demon book. Although I won't covet it, this book is no trifling matter. I can't let it fall into the hands of the demons and create a great enemy for the imperial court. I need to think of a way to bring these two snakes under my tutelage and make them part of the calming immortal department. This was what Gu Chunsha was thinking about. The cultivation technique recorded in the Divine Demon Book was secondary. The book itself contained infinite demonic mysteries. This treasure was probably not inferior to the Buzhou Palace. With the cultivation of the green and white snakes, it was already impressive for them to be able to learn the cultivation technique in the book. It was impossible for them to guard such a treasure. If they brought it back, the treasure would fall into the hands of the nest of 10,000 dragons, which would be detrimental to the country. This was also one of the reasons why Gu Qinsha did not leave. Shoo! The green and white snakes woke up from their long meditation. The white snake said, "The content recorded in this book of heavenly fae is indeed unfathomable. We have been comprehending it for so long, and we barely know a Dharma art. As for the true cultivation method, we can't understand the heavenly fae Tao fruit, heavenly fae God subduing technique, and heavenly fae reincarnation technique. It seems that without 100 years of comprehension, it's impossible to have a clue. Sister, this book is rumored to have a world of its own. There are countless treasures in it. We can't open it all." Little Qing frowned. "If we can open the world of the book and take out some pills, our cultivation will also have a qualitative improvement. Opening the world of the book and taking out the treasures isn't something that the two of us can do. Let's memorize the cultivation technique in the book and bring it back to the young master. The old master behind the young master has an incredible cultivation. He will definitely be able to open the book. When the time comes, he will reward the two of us. We will definitely benefit from it." The white snake said, "I have something to ask. Who is the young master that the two fairies mentioned?" Gu Chunsha asked. "There's no harm in telling you. The young master is the eldest son of the nest of 10,000 dragons, old master." Little Qing said, "Little Qing, don't reveal the identity of the young master." The white snake shouted, "What are you afraid of? This scholar doesn't know anything." Little Qing looked at him unconcernedly. TSK, you're not simple. While we were cultivating, you actually broke through to the Grandmaster realm without a sound. Gu Chunsha had slightly improved his martial arts, pretending that he had broken through to the peak of the 4th tier of the mortal realm. Although this little bit of martial arts was not worth mentioning in the eyes of the green and white snakes, it would make Gu Chinch's elementary scholar status extremely valuable when he went out. My cultivation is not worth mentioning in the eyes of the two fairies. Gu Chunsha quickly said, "But the two fairies, when are we going out? We've been staying in the belly of this mountain for several days. It's really stuffy. You're just an elementary scholar. You can't even endure this little bit of loneliness. You still want to cultivate martial arts? I saw you speak with confidence and composure and thought you were very knowledgeable. Now, it seems that it's all for show." Little Qing seemed to enjoy watching this scholar in front of her make a fool of himself. "Young master, I'm afraid you have to stay for a while longer." The white snake said, "We have to wait for news from the young master." Right as she spoke, a talisman flew up and burned. It turned into a light, and many words appeared on it before disappearing. "The young master is here in Wuzhou City. He wants us to meet him." A look of joy appeared on the white snake's face. "With the young master here, everything will be fine. Should we bring this scholar away?" Little Qing asked. "Of course we should. He read the Sky Demon Book, so we can't leave him in the world. Let's bring him to see the young master and hope that he can make a decision. If he can be nurtured by the young master and keep this chess piece, it will be beneficial for him in the future." The white snake had her own ideas. While speaking, she waved her hand and swept up Gu Qinsha. He flew out of the belly of the mountain and headed towards Wuzhou City. Wuzhou City's defense was really tight, and there were many experts. The city walls were really tall, and there were all sorts of giant crossbows and cannons. There was even the newest fire talisman spear from the Celestial Craft Institute. Even a 4th or 5th Tao Realm transformation expert would die on the spot. But the two snakes were Tao Realm Transformation 8 experts and had cultivated the heaven and earth flipping fog technique. Along with the fact that it was nighttime It was really easy for them to pass the city walls and enter the city. The two of them brought Gu Chansha to a large courtyard in the city. They saw a young man with his arms behind his back, looking at the stars at night. Subordinate greets young master. The two snakes tossed Gu Chansha aside and knelt down on one knee towards the young man. The young man looked at the stars, and after a long while, he said, "Why did you bring a scholar over?" "It's like this." Little Ching immediately explained the situation. This scholar is very knowledgeable in reading and can actually understand some of the scriptures in the Book of Sky Fae. He explained it to me and my sister. Because he observed the Book of Sky Fae, we can't let him stay among the people and spread the scriptures, so we brought him to young master. Young master, this scholar has some talent, and he is fated with our monster race. The white snake said, "I think that young master wants to lay a trap in the imperial court, so it is good for him to leave this flag." She was protecting Gu Chensha. Bold. A servant behind the young man said, "Young master has his own plans. Who are you to make the decision? It is obvious that the two of you want to seduce this scholar." This servant had an eagle nose and a sharp mouth. His eyes were deep, and he looked really weird. He looked like a human, but not a human. Iron Rock King, don't speak nonsense. Little Ching was furious. You have a good relationship with Zombie Blood River. That fellow betrayed young master and joined the imperial court's prince Gu Tanjian. You're to blame too. Damn servant, you dare to offend me. Iron Rock King was furious and reached out with his black claws. Stop arguing. The young man waved his hand, and Iron Rock King didn't dare to make a sound. However, the baleful aura on his body didn't dissipate, and he was a little lecherous. It was obvious that he had been eyeing the green and white snake sisters. This young master had red lips and white teeth. His eyes were like the stars, and his eyebrows were elegant. He was actually a rarely seen handsome man. Gu Chinch's heart moved. This young master looked similar to Li Wangsheng. From the information he got from the two snake demons, he knew that this young master was the king of 10,000 demons, the master of the nest of 10,000 dragons, another son of demonic saintly Wanlong. You have obtained the book of heavenly demon left behind by Goddess Hu. Let me take a look. The young master nodded. I was about to offer it to young master. The white snake took out the book of heavenly demon and offered it. The young master took it and was about to flip through it when the book of heavenly demon suddenly exploded with a ball of light that covered the book. He couldn't read it at all. Oomph. A ball of purple flame appeared on the young master's hand. He wanted to refine the restriction on the book, but it was useless. What are you two damn sluts doing? Iron Rock King suddenly pounced. How dare you make fun of young master? It's none of their business. Back down. The young master waved his hand and blocked Iron Rock King. There's a restriction on this book. Those who aren't fated can't read it. I can't break it with my cultivation. It seems I can only bring it back to Father. Father's cultivation is above the ancient demon race sages who wrote this book. He will definitely be able to break it. Gu Qinsha frowned and thought to himself, if this book falls into Li Wanlong's hands, there's really no way out. These two snakes are really stupid. They actually offered it to him just like that. Ha ha ha. At this moment, laughter could be heard. A few people appeared in this courtyard. The leader was a noble with a golden crown and a thumb ring on his hand. He was unfathomable. It was Gu Tanjian. The others weren't kind either. Their auras were terrifyingly strong. Li Tiansheng, I didn't expect you to come to Wuzhou City and obtain the book of heavenly demon left behind by Hugu. However, this book can absorb the wishes of all living beings and steal the fate of the imperial court. It should belong to the imperial court. Gu Tanjian didn't hide his greed. What? Gu Tanjian, you want to take the book from me? Li Qianxing's tone was relaxed, but he was actually ready for battle. If it's Lu Baiwei, Gu Chensha, and Gu Huasha, I naturally won't be able to defeat them. You seem to be a bit weaker. We'll only know after we fight. Hearing these three people, Gu Tanjian's expression turned cold and murderous. However, he didn't attack. Instead, he said, however, we might be able to cooperate. I don't covet the book of heavenly demon. However, if you want to take it away, you must pay a price. Cooperate with what? Li Tianxing asked. We can discuss in detail. Gu Tanjian glanced at the two snakes, as well as Gu Chansha, who was disguised as Chun Gongshi. He didn't recognize them. Gu Chansha looked at the general outline of the Book of Heavenly Demon and deduced all sorts of martial arts. He comprehended his clumsy fist to a deeper level and created the common people mending heaven technique. He used this technique to push his cultivation to the Tao realm 10 changes. His martial arts were many times stronger than before. Chapter 238. Li Tiansheng, you can give me your 2 snake demons. Gu Tanjian made a request. You can take the Heavenly Demon Book with you. How about that? Are you threatening me? Li Tianxing laughed. These 2 maidservants are my demon race's most capable subordinates. If I give them to you for no reason, I'll lose face. No. Gu Tanjian waved his hand. Brother Tiansheng, you misunderstand me. I'm not threatening you. I want to cooperate. I'm interested in your 2 beauties. I'm willing to buy them with 2 dragon-raising pills. How about it? Dragon-raising pill. Li Tiansheng already knew that Gu Xingjian had an elixir condensed from the Dragon Gate Qi of the primordial era. It was the dragon-nourishing elixir that could turn a fool into a genius. However, my 2 maidservants are geniuses themselves. It wasn't easy to nurture them. What are you threatening me for? What about 10 dragon-raising pills? Gu Shanjian flipped his hand and took out a transparent bottle from the bottle. In the bottle, there were actually 10 dragon-raising pills floating in the air. These 10 pills could create 10 geniuses. Gu Qinsha was shocked. How many dragon-raising pills did Gu Tanjian get? With his strength, it's impossible for him to have such a fortuitous encounter. There must be a powerful figure behind him. Could it really be the great spirit god? 10 dragon-raising pills. Even Li Tiansheng was envious. He was born in the nest of 10,000 dragons and had seen many things. He knew that this pill was extraordinary and could create 10 geniuses as subordinates. 10 geniuses was enough to strengthen his wings and expand his influence. However, when he looked at the green and white snakes and saw that they were looking at him, he couldn't help but sneer. 10 dragon-raising pills are just inanimate objects. Why would I give up on my subordinates for these pills? Is that so? Then what about 1 dragon-raising pill? At this time, Gu Tanjian put away the 10 dragon-raising pills. A crystal appeared in his hand with a pill sealed inside. This pill was like a god with a dragon's head and a human's body. It was only the size of a thumb and emitted an aura as vast as the mountains and seas. This was the dragon-raising pill. A single dragon creation pill could turn a person into a peerless genius. Not even Gu Qinsha could concoct such a pill. Not even the medicine deity could refine such a pill. Only the Dragon Gate of the Great Desolate Era could congeal it. Li Tiansheng was extremely tempted when he saw the dragon creation pill. Brother Tiansheng, I know that your talent is at the pinnacle of genius, but you have yet to become an unparalleled genius. That is why no matter how much you train, it will be difficult for you to reach the golden Dan of the Great Path. There was great temptation in Gu Tanjian's words. Generally speaking, geniuses can only advance to the Jindan of the Great Tao realm if they have a great encounter. And you seem to be a little lacking, which is why Li Wangsheng is always suppressing you. If you can obtain this dragon creation pill, you will immediately stand out among your brothers. You will gain a lot of power in the nest of 10,000 dragons and obtain countless resources. The price you will pay is these 2 maidservants, and you will also gain my friendship. Also, I know that you have enemies in the nest of 10,000 dragons. For example, your father's concubine, Kate Inger. Your father is very fond of her. Many demon kings in the nest of 10,000 dragons have joined her, and she is slowly eating away at your power. How are you so familiar with the inner workings of the nest of 10,000 dragons? Young Master Li Tianxing frowned. Also, you incited my subordinate, Blood Zombie King Zombie Shuihe. I have yet to settle this score with you. These are all trivial matters. Gu Tanjian did not seem to care. You want to fight with me? How are you going to settle this score with me? To be honest, You appeared in Wuzhou City today. If I fight with you, you will not be able to leave. Try me if you don't believe me. I am very sincere in negotiating with you. Otherwise, I will capture you first. You are not qualified to settle this score with me. Oh, I want to see what you have to take me down. Young Master Li Tianqing's face was filled with murderous intent. You overestimate yourself. Gu Tanjian scattered something into the sky. In an instant, the entire courtyard was enveloped in a layer of five-colored clouds. Even the ground was covered in a five-colored mist. This is... Young Master Li Tianqing was shocked. This is the five elements. That's right, this is the five elements god-trapping smoke. This smoke was refined by an ancient deity, and after I obtained it, I truly mastered it. Now that you're inside, it can be said that it's hard for you to escape from me. If you don't believe me, feel free to attack me. Gu Shangjian had his hands behind his back, and everything was within his control. Blade come! Young Master Li Tianqing already had a shining blade in his hand. With a slight movement, a blade ray that could cut down a mountain appeared and slashed at Gu Tanjian. However, the blade ray had only flown 3 steps away from his body when the five-colored clouds in the sky flashed and disappeared without a trace. How is it? Inside the five elements soul-trapping smoke, any of your attacks will be absorbed by it. Gu Tanjian did not attack, as if he had no intention of dealing with Li Tianqing. You are Li Wanlong's son and have seen many things. I don't think I need to explain how powerful the five elements soul-trapping smoke is. What exactly do you want? Li Tianqing had already seen how powerful the smoke was. Gu Tanjian's strength was unfathomable, so he could not act rashly. I want to be friends with Brother Tianqing. Gu Tanjian waved his hand, and the five-colored smoke suddenly disappeared. The world became clear again, and thousands of stars shone down. Li Tianqing's heart trembled when he saw this. He knew that Gu Tanjian had already cultivated this treasure to the point where he could use it freely. At this moment, the Iron Rock King, who was standing in the corridor, said, "Young master, the prince has good intentions. He only wants 2 little snake demons. Why do you have to reject him?" Iron Rock King, even you have joined Gu Tanjian? Li Tianqing was shocked. A fine bird chooses a good tree to nest in. The Iron Rock King did not feel awkward at all. The Crown Prince is very powerful and has an unimaginable power supporting him. It's only natural for me to side with the Crown Prince. In our Yao race, the strong are respected. I think the young master should just side with the Crown Prince. With the Crown Prince's help, the Crown Prince will definitely have a great advantage in the nest of 10,000 dragons. Good. Very good. Li Tianqing was furious. You and Jiang Xuehe have betrayed me again and again. Aren't you afraid of my methods? Young master, don't make it sound so bad. Iron Rock King said, "We are all demon kings, and also a feudal lord of a region. I command the Iron Rock clan, while Jiang Shui, he commands the Blood Zombie clan. Although we obey Lord Demon Saint's command and respectfully call you young master, but with your cultivation, it is still a bit of a stretch to think that we will bow our heads and listen to you. Recently, your power has been gradually declining, and you are being suppressed by Li Wangsheng and Lord Demon Saint's concubine. You can't give us any benefits. Do you really think we're loyal to you? Even these 2 snakes are only moderately loyal to you." Li Tianqing was speechless. In the demon race, the strong were respected and benefits were the most important. The nest of 10,000 dragons was the holy land of the demon race. Many kings of the demon race obeyed its orders. However, they were just feudal lords. They were not like the human empires where the emperor had the power to kill or abolish. All right, Iron Rock King. Gu Tanjian waved his hand to stop him. Brother Tianqing, if you and I work together, we can definitely make a name for ourselves. Why keep us at a distance? All right, I promise you. Li Tianqing's expression changed. In the end, he said, "These 2 snake spirits are yours. Give me a dragon creation pill, and I will leave immediately." "Young master," little Qing shouted. Her intuition told her that falling into the hands of Gu Tanjian would not end well. "Young master, We are also demon kings of the White Snake Clan and Green Snake Clan. You don't have the right to sell us like goods. The White Snake said calmly. How dare you? I told you that you were not loyal. The Iron Rock King became arrogant. What? Even you don't listen to my orders? Li Tianxing's expression turned ugly. Young master, please return the Book of Heavenly Demon to us. The White Snake's attitude became firm. This Book of Heavenly Demon is our fate. Giving it to young master is a favor from the old master of the nest of 10,000 dragons. However, since young master is so heartless to us, we will personally give it to the old master. How dare you two lowly servants speak to young master like this? The Iron Rock King smiled sinisterly. Gu Tanjian waved his hand. Brotherly, you don't have to worry about these two little snake demons. Now that they are in my hands, they will naturally listen to me. They won't be able to escape. Brother Li and I should discuss some specific matters. I will do my best to help Brother Li seize power in the nest of 10,000 dragons. All right, Li Tiansheng naturally wouldn't return the Book of Heavenly Demon to the two snakes. Brother Bouncing Sword, I also want to borrow your strength to defeat those people who plotted against me in the nest of 10,000 dragons. Let's talk after I subdue these two snake demons. These two girls are very useful to me. Thank you, Brother Tiansheng. Gu Tanjian looked at the two snakes. These two snakes are really unlucky this year. If they hide and cultivate the Book of Heavenly Demon, who would they be afraid of when they reach greater mastery of their demonic arts? However, these two girls must not fall into the hands of Gu Tanjian. Gu Qinsha had long seen through it. The fate of these two girls is inseparable from the Book of Heavenly Demon. As long as I obtain these two girls, I can take back the Book of Heavenly Demon at any time. I can't let them fall into the hands of Gu Tanjian. Heaven and earth essence spirit, starlight fills the sky. At that instant, Gu Qinsha activated his Dharma spell. Suddenly, a cluster of stars flickered in the north. Fighting with Centipede, Golden Bullnyo, Earthbat Girl, Void Sun Rat, Dangerous Moon Swallow, Room Fire Boar, Wall Water Centipede. Northern Black, Tortoise 7 constellations, come out. The moment the ancient dust sand was activated, the 7 constellations of the Black Tortoise descended from the northern sky. The sky was filled with starlight, and the stars in the sky connected into one. The 7 constellations of the Black Tortoise were activated. The ancient art of astrology divided some of the stars in the sky into the 28 constellations. They were the 7 constellations of the Eastern Azure Dragon, the 7 constellations of the Southern Vermilion Bird, the 7 constellations of the Northern Black Tortoise, and the 7 constellations of the Western White Tiger. Starlight descended, and in an instant, 7 astral divine beasts appeared. The 7 astral divine beasts revolved around each other, forming a black tortoise formed from the power of the stars. This was Gu Qinsha's current strength. He was connected to the celestial phenomena and comprehended the mysteries of the stars. He was able to penetrate the earth and comprehend the profoundness of the 9 hells. The astral black tortoise instantly condensed into a form in the courtyard and shook. Pop, pop, poppy, astral black tortoise wrapped around the two snakes and suddenly shook. Countless starlight exploded, and some 5-colored smoke exploded in the air. Then, the astral black tortoise disappeared with the two snakes and Gu Qinsha. Following that, the Book of Heavenly Demon in the hands of young master Li Tiansheng also released light and flew away. This series of changes made Gu Tanjian and Li Tiansheng unable to react at all. The Book of Heavenly Demons, 28 Constellations, Fiend Transformation. Gu Tanjian roared. How can these two snakes cultivate such a profound Dharma spell? When Gu Qinsha had activated it, it had been silent. No one had expected that it would be this inconspicuous scholar. Chapter 239. Although the aptitudes of the two snake demons were not bad, how could they comprehend something as profound as the Book of the Divine Demon in such a short time? However, Gu Qinsha was different. He had already comprehended many Dharma spells from it and combined them with his own insights. In an instant, he activated the ancient constellation Fey transformation. The peak of the demon race was the 4 divine beasts. The 28 constellations in the sky corresponded to the 4 divine beasts. Guchinch's understanding of the black tortoise was not something an ordinary person could compare to. Therefore, he directly activated the power of the heavenly star and condensed it into the star black tortoise. He shattered the 5 elemental spirit-trapping smoke and left with the green and white snakes. Before leaving, he injected a surge of power into the green and white snakes' bodies, triggering a certain ability in their bodies that activated the Book of the Divine Demon. How could a treasure like the Book of the Divine Demon fall into the hands of Gu Tianjian? His move was extremely ingenious. Even the green and white snakes did not know what had happened. Buzz, the 3 of them, had already disappeared without a trace. When Gu Tianjian and the others flew up, how could they still be found? Damn it, the green and white snakes have hidden their strength well. They can actually cultivate such a divine technique. Gu Tianjian flew up and looked around, but there were no traces of them. He did not suspect a mere scholar like Gu Chansha because he had long observed that this scholar had the cultivation level of a martial Dao grandmaster. If Gu Chinch's sun and moon transformation was so easily seen through, then he would not be able to call himself the son of heaven investiture art. Damn it! Li Tiansheng did not know what to say. At this moment, Gu Chansha and the green and white snakes had already arrived in the mountains hundreds of miles away. They were silent and did not even reveal their auras. Gu Chansha had used the sun and moon talisman of the son of heaven investiture art. The various invisibility talismans and concealment talismans surpassed the various Dharma spells in the Book of the Divine Demon. How could others discover them? He landed on a barren mountain and landed on solid ground. Sister, what's going on? Little Qing couldn't believe it. She didn't know what was going on. White Snake, on the other hand, was much calmer. She looked at Gu Chansha and suddenly bowed to him. So young master is a peerless expert. We sisters have eyes but failed to recognize you. Thank you for saving us just now. What? Big sister, did you say that he saved us just now? Little Qing almost exclaimed. How is that possible? You're quite shrewd. Gu Chansha put his hands behind his back and regained his temperament. You actually guessed that it was me. Even Gu Tianjian and that useless young master of yours didn't see it. Is it really you? I don't believe it. Little Qing shook her head violently. Stop fooling around here. It must be the power of the Book of Heavenly Demons that saved us once again. As she spoke, she suddenly reached out to grab Gu Chansha. Gu Chansha had made up his mind. He wanted to take the 2 snakes in, so he didn't hide anymore. He slapped out with his palm, and gradually, his martial arts contained endless profound meanings, making the incomparably complex transformation simple. In an instant, Xiaoqing's Xiantian stellar energy was completely broken by him. At the same time, his Xiantian stellar energy transformed into a talisman that slapped onto Xiaoqing's body, immobilizing it. This was the Son of Heaven sealing God sealing technique's body securing talisman. Gu Chansha had broken through to the 10 transformations and could use his spiritual sense. The strength of the sun and moon talisman was 10 times stronger. Not to mention this Dao realm, 8 transformations, snake monster little green, even experts below golden core realm would be frozen. As soon as the technique was unleashed, the white snake confirmed her guess. In fact, she was not sure that it was Gu Chansha who had attacked just now. However, Gu Chinch's casual attack seemed to contain the supreme mysteries of heaven and earth. How could it be unleashed by a mere scholar? Who are you? If you want the Sky Monster book, then please take it. Please don't hurt us. White Snake knew that she wasn't his match, so she handed the Sky Monster book over. It is just a Sky Monster book. There is nothing amazing about it. Gu Chansha raised his hand to refuse. The cultivation technique I've learned is far above the contents recorded in the Book of Heavenly Demons. It's just that I'm occasionally bored and want to see what the people behind Li Wanlong and Gu Zhanjin are up to. So I'm just joking with you 2 sisters. Don't think too much. If I had bad intentions, I would have snatched the book. While speaking, He kept the talisman, and little Ching was instantly able to move. You scholar, you're actually acting like a pig to eat a tiger. Who are you? Although little Ching was sharp-tongued, when she spoke, she retreated slightly to show the fear in her heart. Miss White is really smart. Why don't you guess? Gu Qinsha looked towards White Snake. Young Master's temperament is definitely not from the immortal Tao. You are familiar with the classics and can actually explain the general principles above the sky monster. You must be someone with great knowledge. White Snake said slowly. Young Master just said that what you learned is far above the sky monster book. That is thought-provoking. This book was written by many ancient demon sages. Even the classics of a few large sects in the immortal Tao might not be far better than this book. Nowadays, the cultivation techniques that can be said to be superior to this book are either the God conferment art cultivated by the ancient emperor or the great massacre god art created by the current supreme emperor, the heavenly talisman arch. The God conferment art has long been extinct in the world since ancient times, so it must be the great massacre god art. Could young Master be one of the current princes? This White Snake is indeed smart. Gu Qinsha sighed in admiration in his heart. However, he continued, according to what I know, none of the sons of the heavenly talisman great emperor received the great slaughter divine art. Instead, it was the heavenly talisman great emperor who passed it down to the current calming immortal bureau head, Lu Baiwei. Could I be that Lu Baiwei? That's right, this little girl is puzzled. White Snake frowned. All right, I see that you've offended Li Tiansheng and can't stay with the demon race any longer. Are you willing to join me? Gu Qinsha directly tried to recruit them. Besides, you have a Book of Heaven Fei on you. It's impossible even if you want to hide deep in the mountains to cultivate. With this book in hand, even immortal cultivators will slay demons, much less demon monarchs who will fight to snatch it. Only I can protect you. You talking big? Little Ching hid behind White Snake. So young Master has taken a liking to us sisters. White Snake sighed faintly. So we sisters have no choice? I'm just pointing out a path for you. It is up to you to make your own choice. Gu Qinsha didn't force them. However, I made use of your fate to obtain the Sky Demon Book's general outline and many spells. It benefited me a lot, so I decided to help you guys and let you be reborn, giving you a chance to step into the Tao realm, 9 transformation glass J-body realm. While speaking, Gu Qinsha formed a seal with his hands. At that moment, a giant furnace appeared in front of them. The two snakes weren't able to resist at all, and they were swept into the furnace. Then, flames covered the two of them. Use the Sky Monster shell shedding technique in the Sky Monster book to turn into a human. You're still in the body of a snake. You just obtained a talisman and haven't turned into a human. Once the talisman is extracted, you will still turn into a snake. Gu Qinsha hollered, look at Zombie Blood River and Iron Rock King. They're trying their best to change their meridians and acupoints. They want to slowly grow into a human, but they are still wearing horns. They don't look like humans. They don't look like monsters, and they are really ugly. So, the meridians and acupoints of humans were perfect, and they were in line with the Tao of heaven and earth. Many monsters' bodies couldn't compare to humans unless they were beasts like Xuanwu. Many demons would have to secretly reconstruct their bodies when their cultivation levels reached a high enough level, gradually transforming into human form. But it was extremely difficult to turn into a human. One had to cultivate to the Tao realm 16 transformation, borrowing a corpse to steal someone's body. However, it would damage the soul. Another was to slowly adjust their acupoints, and through decades, their bodies would become similar to a human's. But this wasn't perfect, causing some monsters to have weird bodies. For example, Iron Rock King had a human's face and a bird's head. He had arms and legs and wings on his back. He was neither human nor bird, and his meridians were a little messy. This was a problem that many monsters couldn't solve. Unless, of course, there was a stronger demon helping them. For example, some of Li Wanlong's sons had perfect bodies. Li Wanlong had definitely used a supreme demonic technique on them when they were born. As for normal monsters, even the Lightning Beast King that Gu Qinsha killed wouldn't be so lucky. However, the Lightning Beast King had a huge body and was a primordial variant. His talent was to control lightning, and in terms of combat strength, he was much stronger than humans. However, it was more convenient to comprehend the Tao and merge with heaven and earth. This was why no matter what, if he wanted to comprehend the supreme laws, he had to transform into a human. The Heaven Monster Book recorded the perfect carapace refining technique. As long as a monster could cultivate the Samadhi true fire and form the glass jade body, they would be able to transform into a human during this process. Gu Chansha used his supreme energy to form the sun and moon furnace to help the two snake spirits. The furnace burned brightly. Gu Chinch's cultivation was extremely high, and even some old monsters in the celestial path couldn't compare to him. He helped the two snake spirits refine the various obstructions in their bodies and also injected the sun and moon dragon energy into their bodies. It was unimaginable for snake-type monsters. How long? After an hour, the two snake demons jumped out from the furnace. They didn't even have any demonic energy, and their bodies were like jade. As expected, they had obtained true human bodies. Thank you, young master, for helping us. The white snake knelt on the ground. Young master's techniques are really shocking. He actually allowed us to form true human bodies in such a short time. Little Qing didn't dare to say anything more. She just looked at Gu Qinsha. Just now, she knew Gu Qinsha's strength. Although the two of you haven't cultivated the Tao Realm 9 transformations, you have turned into human forms, and you don't have any demonic energy. As long as you study the Heaven Monster Book, in the future, you will definitely be one of the top experts in the monster race. Gu Qinsha asked, have you thought about it? Will you leave, or will you follow me? We appreciate young master's good intentions, but we are used to hiding in the mountains and idling away our time. We have no choice but to disappoint young master's good intentions. The white snake rejected Gu Qinsha's good intentions and used her eyes to stop little Qing from speaking. Okay, Gu Qinsha grabbed, and 2 talismans appeared in his hand. I refined these talismans. If you face any problems, ask me for help, and I might be able to help. But remember, don't return to the nest of 10,000 dragons. If not, we will become enemies in the future. At that time, I will have to attack for the people. Even if you learn the Heaven Monster Book, you won't be my match. He didn't care much about the 2 snakes leaving. Young master is righteous. We will repay you in the future. The white snake pulled little Qing and bowed before flying away. Gu Qinsha didn't stop them and just shook his head. A man is innocent, but treasures will get him into trouble. These 2 snakes won't have peace from now on. He stayed on the mountain and observed the phenomena. He stared at Marshall Songstar and tried to find some secrets. The sky was about to turn bright, and the stars disappeared. Right as he was about to head down, the 2 snakes flew back and knelt on the ground. Chapter 240. You're testing me? Gu Qinsha was not surprised by the return of the green and white snakes. Young master really wants us to leave. It's clear that his state of mind is open and above board. He doesn't covet our heavenly demon book. In addition, young master saved us from danger and expended his stellar energy to raise our realm. If we don't repay this favor, we will definitely be doomed in the future, said the white snake hurriedly. Right. I didn't expect you to be so strong. Moreover, my sister and I comprehended it for a long time and were unable to comprehend the sky monster shell shedding technique. You actually comprehended it long ago and even taught it to us. In the future, we will learn from you. Little Green glanced at Gu Qinsha and didn't stop. Gu Qinsha didn't mind and just asked the white snake, are you really willing to leave the 10,000 dragon nest? I am willing. The white snake nodded her head. Since that is the case, then I don't mind telling you. Gu Qinsha said, I am the 19th prince, one of the 3 heads of the Calming Celestial Division, Duke Chun. In the world, only the Calming Celestial Division can protect you from the Sky Monster Book. But since you have joined me, you are part of the Imperial Dynasty. This isn't child's play, and you have to follow the laws of the Imperial Dynasty. Do you understand? Thank you, young master. When they heard Gu Chunsha reveal his identity, the two snakes were delighted. They didn't expect him to have such a backer. So, young master is the one who killed the 14 transformation Soul Lightning Beast King at Dao Realm 6 transformation. The white snake was shocked. Lightning Beast King is a really strong person among us monster kings. He is much stronger than Iron Rock King and Jiang Shuihe. Celestials at the same realm aren't his match at all. Young master crossed 8 realms to kill him. Even a saint can't do that. Gu Chensh's most famous battle was during the Buzhou Palace fight, when he instantly killed Lightning Beast King with one sword. Lightning Beast King was really famous out of all the monster race kings. He was talented and had thick earth energy. He was actually killed by someone who crossed 8 realms. When Gu Chensh's aura spread out, he was only weaker than Fa Wuxian. No one would say that he was a good-for-nothing prince anymore. Instead, he was an ambitious and ruthless person who amazed the world with a single brilliant feat, of course. The battle he was most proud of was defeating Gu Hua. However, that battle took place at the bottom of the sea, and not many people knew about it. It was a secret. Furthermore, he was supposed to lose the battle against Gu Hua. However, he had set up an ambush in advance, using the black tortoise baby to hide in the sun-moon sacrificial altar. With a single strike, he had snatched Gu Hua's golden core. We are now people of the imperial court. Little Qing almost didn't dare to believe it. The greatest power in the world? I heard that even the old master was humiliated by the imperial court, and the nest of 10,000 dragons was almost overturned. Little Blue were no longer members of the nest of 10,000 dragons. You can't call him old master or young master anymore. The white snake hurriedly chided. Follow me for now and be my maidservants. You don't have to go back for now. Gu Chensha said, I want to stay in Wuzhou City for a while. Young master, are you looking for the reincarnation of the martial song star? White Snake asked. Oh, the nest of 10,000 dragons also knows about this. Gu Chensha was a bit curious, but with Li Wanlong's supreme power, he should be able to find some clues. Tell me, what else do you know? The reincarnation of Xing Chun has a time to awaken. If we can find this person before the awakening, we can extract the profound meaning of stars before it completely fuses with the soul. After refining it, we can become the reincarnation of Xing Chun. If the profound meaning of stars fuses with the soul, it will be useless even if we kill this person and refine his soul, the white snake said. Gu Chensha listened and pondered in his heart. He recalled the records in many history books. For example, a few days after the birth of the founding ancestor, the house was filled with a strange fragrance and scarlet light. After a few days, there are no more abnormalities. This was a process of awakening. If the profound meaning of stars fell into someone's body, it would not awaken immediately. It would depend on fate. Once the fate arrived, it would be activated by some kind of change in the heavenly Tao, and it would awaken. When awakening, a person would appear. During this time, if someone seized the chance to extract the profound meaning of stars, they would gain great benefits. Li Wanlong also predicted that the person who reincarnated from the martial song star would appear in the Wu Prefecture. Gu Chensha knew that his ability to predict the heavenly secrets was no match for this demon clan great saint. The monster race was a top expert in the world, even stronger than the gods. This is what we heard. The reincarnation of martial song star is unbelievably strong. He was born with supreme martial arts skills. If he is obtained by someone, his aptitude will increase greatly. The monster saint wants to obtain the profound meaning of martial song star, then the profound meaning of literati star, and then the profound meaning of literati star, then the profound meaning of martial song star, and then the profound meaning of literati star, breaking through to another level. That was all the white snake knew. This is not a secret. This time, when the profound meaning of stars falls on the earth, some people will rise, and some will fall. A great era is coming, and there will definitely be thousands of peerless characters born, and thousands of peerless characters will fall. Gu Chensha looked at the location of the great stone wall outside the pass. It was where the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's palace was located. He wondered what the Heavenly Talisman Emperor would do when the world was in turmoil. Young master, the world is in turmoil now, and the general trend is changing. Our top priority is to increase our strength. The cultivation technique recorded in the Book of Sky, Fey, may be magical, but the most important thing is the book itself. It contains a huge space, and enter the treasures left behind by Goddess Hugu, as well as ancient treasures. If young master can open the space within, we sisters can also obtain the treasures. Whitesnake once again offered the Book of Sky, Fey. All right. Gu Chunsha took the Book of Sky, Fey, and injected his innate stellar chi into it, preparing to open the space within. However, no matter how he tried, it was useless. He had also learned the Sky, Fey mystic art, so he immediately transformed the Solar Moon Dragon handle into Sky, Fey stellar chi. However, it was still useless. The Book of Sky, Fey didn't move at all, and he couldn't even open it. Only when the book landed in the hands of Whitesnake and Greensnake could they open it and read its contents. Gu Chunsha learned many Dharma spells from the two girls while they flipped through it. What a joke. Gu Chunsha opened his mouth and spat out a golden light. Dragon Gate. Boom! The dragon gate in his body appeared and transformed into the height of a person. It stood towering, causing the green and white snakes to retreat. Gu Chunsha placed the Book of Sky, Fey, into the depths of the Dragon Gate. Immediately, the endless airflow in the Dragon Gate spun as it attempted to refine the restrictions on the book. The Dragon Gate had fused with the sea-carrying gourd, sun-swallowing serpent pouch, and celestial dragon bracelet. With Gu Chunsha refining it day and night, it was already extremely wondrous. Furthermore, the higher Gu Chunsha's cultivation level was, the more he could refine this treasure and unleash its might. The treasure devoured the Book of Sky, Fey. The airflow inside squirmed as though it wanted to digest the book. The Book of Sky, Fey surged with demonic aura as it resisted the Dragon Gate's refinement. This book is indeed impressive. Gu Chunsha refined it for 6 hours, and the book didn't move at all. There were no signs of it being opened at all. Only then did he know that a treasure like the Book of Sky, Fey, wasn't something he could refine. Unless he accumulated enough souls and used the power of the Heaven Tao to use the destruction sacrifice to open the restrictions in the book, he wouldn't be able to do anything even if he raised a few more realms. He was now at Tao Realm Transformation 10, multitasking. Next, he had to gather his spiritual sense and spread it out like a tentacle to cultivate Tao Realm Transformation 11, Soul Tentacle. Upon reaching this realm, he would be able to permeate his divine sense into a Dharma treasure and understand its structure. He could even send his divine sense tendrils deep underground to understand the various mysteries of the underground. He could even send his divine sense tendrils into many-dimensional voids to understand the secrets of Yuan Qi. This realm wasn't simple. Once he cultivated it, many of his abilities would increase, and his control of Xiantian Earth energy would improve. However, it was still useless to open the Book of Sky, Fey. Not only did the book have the imprints of many ancient demon sages, but it also had the seal of Hugu God. The book itself was also a supreme divine artifact, almost comparable to the treasures of the 72 ancient sects of the Immortal Path. To completely unlock the secrets within, Gu Chunsha would probably have to cultivate to the golden core of the Great Path with his own cultivation. Forget it, I can't open it now. Gu Chunsha returned the book to the green and white snakes. Open this book and memorize the contents of the book for the next few days. Then, practice them one by one. I will explain them to you. Since we have nothing to do, let's cultivate in the nearby mountains and see if there are any changes in Wuzhou City. Yes, young master. The two snakes knew that Gu Chunsha really didn't have any greedy thoughts about the Book of Sky Fey. Immediately, the three of them built a hut in the nearby mountains and observed the changes in Wuzhou City while cultivating the Book of Sky Fey. Gu Chunsha had the intention to test his abilities. He circulated his Xiantian Earth energy and instantly transformed it into thousands of large hands that extended out in all directions. Each large hand grabbed a mountain rock and gently scooped it out, grabbing a piece that weighed tens of thousands of kilograms. Then, with a slight pinch in the earth energy hands, it ignited into a raging fire and refined the rock into jade. In less than an hour, the tens of thousands of Orochi hands had built a temple in the mountain. They had even built an altar and many stone mythological beasts. Those stone divine beasts were refined by Gu-chansha, using mountain rocks according to the 28 constellations. They corresponded to the stars in the sky. There was also a stone altar in the center of the temple. It was an acre in size. It was filled with clear water and reflected the stars in the sky. In just one day, earth-shattering changes took place in this mountain. Several palaces rose from the ground. The altar stood in the center, and the huge stone divine beasts were arranged in various mysterious positions. If it was built by ordinary people, it would take several years to complete, even if the efficiency was high and tens of thousands of people were used. This was the magical effect of having a thick Xiantian earth energy. Back then, Gu-chansha used a 7 Sacred Heart refining pill to exchange for the Celestial Crafts Institute's Herculean ghost god to build the Black Tortoise's castle in his fief. If it was now, there was no need for the Celestial Crafts Institute's Herculean ghost god. He could do it himself, and even do it better. East Azure Dragon, West White Tiger, South Vermilion Bird, North Black Tortoise. The 28 constellations, Hornwood Dragon, Kong Gold Dragon, D Earth Raccoon, Room Fire Pig, Descending Star Power, Refining Star Flying God, Heavenly Cycle Star Sacrifice. In just one day, Gu-chansha built the training ground in the mountain. When he saw the stars in the sky at night, he immediately used the star sacrifice technique of the Son of Heaven investiture art. Suddenly, starlight fell from the sky and landed on the 28 stone divine beasts. Soon, the stone divine beasts were covered with a layer of starlight. Chapter 241. Young Master's Khanate Gangchi is so powerful that it's shocking. In one day, he gathered materials from the ground to build a temple, sculpted a divine beast, and attracted the power of the stars to descend, turning this place into a blessed land for construction. The green and white snakes saw Gu-chansha's actions and almost fainted. They also had Khanate Gangchi now and could build cave abodes, bridges, houses, and altars, but Khanate Gangchi was limited. For example, they used their Gangchi to dig out stones weighing tens or even hundreds of thousands of kilograms from the mountains and move them to the top of the mountain, then used their Gangchi to carve them. The consumption of Gangchi was huge, and they might run out of Gangchi after just a few pieces and need a rest for a while. Gu-chansha, on the other hand, released several thousand streams of energy from his body. Every single stream of energy was stronger than all of them combined. Did this mean that his Khanate Gangchi was 1,000 times stronger than theirs? How is this possible? Even the capacity of an ancient giant beast was not this strong. But when they thought about how Gu-chansha had the Dragon Gate, they understood. This Dragon Gate was not the Real Dragon Gate, but after many transformations, the amount of Khanate Gangchi it could contain was as vast as the mountains and the seas. Without the Dragon Gate, Gu-chansha would only be a little stronger than the outstanding disciples of the Celestial Tao, and it would not be so exaggerated. In fact, cultivators yearned for a Dharma treasure that could store Khanate Gangchi. Having one was equivalent to having double or even several times their own Gangchi, and it was a great advantage against the enemy. Of course, the Dragon Gate storage was too shocking. Not only that, it could absorb the enemy's Khanate Gangchi and turn it into its own. This Dharma treasure could attack and defend, and was not inferior to some of the Celestial Tao's legacy treasures. Back then, Yuan Shashing had obtained the remains of the Dragon Transformation Tower with great difficulty. He had sacrificed countless living beings to the chaotic demonic ape god, using his divine power to activate the tower's mysteries, and then refine the Dragon Transformation liquid to cultivate it. In the end, it still fell into Gu-chansha's hands. If he had cultivated the tower successfully in a few years and integrated it into his body, he would have become a golden core of the Great Path, and his strength would have risen to an unbelievable level. As for Guchen Shah, it was unknown how much sun and moon dragon blood Guchen Shah had used to feed this treasure. He had also sacrificed the souls of many evil people to the heavens to further refine this treasure. He had also fused many other treasures into one to form the Dragon Gate of today. How could it be simple? This treasure was nourished by the dragon's repulse day and night in his dantian, and with every passing day, it would become a little more miraculous. After a few decades, as Gu Chinch's cultivation base became more profound, it would probably merge with his body. But we've made such a big scene. What if we encounter an expert? Little Qing was a little worried. I was just worried that the experts wouldn't come. Gu Qinsha smiled. If experts like Jiang Shui He or the Iron Rock King came, Gu Qinsha would be able to capture them instantly. It just so happened that he lacked souls to sacrifice to the heavens. He would use this monster as a sacrifice to open the Sky Demon Book. However, just relying on Jiang Shui He and the Iron Rock King was not enough to activate the power of the Heavenly Tao to open the Sky Demon Book. He needed more experts. Also, other than cultivating, Gu Qinsha had set up the altar here to borrow the mountain's magnetic field to better receive the power of the stars. At the same time, he could calculate the location of the reincarnated person of the Martial Song planet. He could instantly observe the movements in Wuzhou City from a high vantage point. After the altar and temple were built, he could accumulate the power of the stars day and night. When the time came, he could also use it to assist. For example, if he gathered here for 7 days, he could activate the demon god's star's destruction thunder recorded in the Sky Demon Book once. It would be much more powerful than any of his attacks. In fact, many powerful Dharma spells had to be prepared in advance. It could be as short as a few days, as long as a few months, or even a few years or decades. For example, Gu Chinch's Sun-Moon Annihilation. If he casually released it, it would be powerful. But if he prepared it in advance and absorbed enough power of the sun and moon to refine it, the power would be several times greater. Today, Gu Qinsha had set up the 28 Constellation Demon God Transformation Array recorded in the Sky Demon Book, but in fact, he had hidden the Sun-Moon Annihilation Array. At night, this huge temple and altar would absorb the starlight and moonlight. During the day, it would absorb the sunlight. And while Gu Qinsha was calculating and cultivating here, below the altar, there would gradually be a ball of sun and moonlight formed by many runes. He was borrowing the mountain's magnetic field to prepare the Sun-Moon Annihilation Dharma spell. The longer he prepared, the more powerful this Dharma spell would be. However, he could only release it once. After that, he would have to gather it again. He had already predicted that there would be a huge battle soon, so he made early preparations to ensure that nothing went wrong. After the reincarnated person of the Martial Song Star appeared, he had to be taken away and brought into the calming immortal department. This was an order from the imperial court, a decree from the heavenly talisman Great Emperor. It could also strengthen the calming immortal department. At the same time, it could prevent such people from being taken away by the immortal Tao, refined by the demonic Tao, or wandering among the people, causing a huge disaster. After the altar was set up, Gu Qinsha cultivated with the green and white snakes. In a few days, he memorized all the contents of the Sky Demon Book. Then, he began to cultivate selectively. As for Gu Qinsha, he only comprehended and fused the various Dharma spells and principles in the Sky Demon Book with all his martial arts in his sea of consciousness. Finally, he augmented them all on the life, heaven-mending art. As he concentrated on learning, he benefited a lot. He also gave pointers to the green and white snakes, and their cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. Originally, Gu Qinsha needed others to give him pointers. However, he concentrated on learning and studied hard. He read countless books. At first, he obtained the cultivation experience of the Emperor of Buzhou from the Grand Preceptor Wenhong. Then, he obtained Gu Hua's Jindan. From the Jindan, He learned Gu's lifetime of cultivation experience. Gu's experience was extraordinary. He was someone who was personally taught by the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor. Gu Chansha obtaining his experience was equivalent to obtaining the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor's guidance. The Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor was a sage. He comprehended the heavenly Tao, manipulated creation, and controlled the Great Might dynasty. His prestige even surpassed that of the supreme sect master of the immortal Tao mystic sect. After obtaining Gu's lifetime of cultivation experience, he became friends with Tai Mengdi, the son of the Tai fantasy sect's sect master. The two of them chatted for several days, exchanging Tao techniques and experiences, and improved further. It was not until he met the green and white snakes and obtained the Sky Demon book. After reading the general outline of the book, he fused what he had learned and understood the principle of it's not that heaven and earth are heartless and treat all living things as dogs. Instead, it was the principle of heaven's Tao is deficient, and the common people can make up for it by transforming the clumsy fist into the life heaven-mending art. It meant that his Tao had truly laid down its foundation. In other words, he had the foundation of a sage. Being born with the aptitude of sage did not necessarily mean that one would become a sage. To become a sage, one must have a true perfect principle that could be carried out from beginning to end. His current cultivation realm naturally far surpassed the green and white snakes, even if the two snakes were only 2 transformations away from him. Unfortunately, the space inside the Sky Demon book could not be opened. Half a month passed in a row. Surprisingly, no one came to disturb Gu Chinch's altar in the mountain. The green and white snakes achieved success in their cultivation under his guidance. They also went down the mountain to investigate in the city. They found that the city was calm and peaceful, and nothing happened. On this day, Gu Qinsha was cultivating. Recently, he had some achievements in comprehending the mystery of the stars. As he breathed, spots of starlight gathered in the depths of the Dragon Gate. In half a month, a small galaxy vortex actually condensed in the depths of the Dragon Gate. Young Master, there has been no movement in Wuzhou City recently, but I saw that many tea houses and taverns were talking about newspaper, so I brought it over for Young Master to see. At this time, the white snake and the green snake came back with a newspaper. Gu Qinsha took it and saw the words, National Fortune Newspaper, written on it. This Gu Tanjian has recruited scholars from the common people and established a national fortune party. It is obvious that he wants to create public opinion. Now, he even has a newspaper. Let me see what is written in the National Fortune newspaper. Gu Qinsha opened the newspaper and read it carefully. Gradually, his face became solemn. This National Fortune newspaper actually published many martial arts manuals and cultivation methods that could not be obtained by the common people. It also said that a part of it will be published in every issue. Just this point alone would cause many people to fight to buy it. Today's issue published a small portion of the 5 energies gathering energy. This was a technique that led to the Tao realm, and its breathing was top-notch. It was a secret that couldn't be taught to outsiders. The other pages were about the opinions of some famous Confucians. There were also a few pages that were about stories from the common people. There were also pictures that were really lifelike. This newspaper was really valuable, and Gu Qinsha read it many times. He noticed that some Confucians and scholars were saying things that were really bad for the calming celestial division. He instantly became wary. This National Fortune newspaper used martial arts techniques to attract people. Along with Gu Tanjian's methods and wealth, he promoted it all over the country, and after expanding its influence, it would be a huge amount of luck. If he grasped this mouthpiece and then attacked the calming celestial division, then he would be restricted and wouldn't be able to do anything. This ancient flicking sword arrangement could be said to be profound and long-term. Moreover, it was a grand and open plot that was impeccable. Amazing, amazing. Gu Qinsha closed the newspaper and let out a long sigh. The calming celestial division has to quickly snatch the position of public opinion, otherwise, we will be at a disadvantage. Unfortunately, there are many things to do. Even if we have 3 heads and 6 arms, we won't be able to handle everything. Will we have the energy to do these things? There were too many things to do in the calming celestial division. Just the celestial division's various connections took up a lot of energy and manpower. He had to recruit more talents. The green and white snakes seemed to be good. Gooch and Shan knew that these 2 snakes were not to be trifled with. The demon monarchs of the Yangshan snake clan were considered geniuses according to human standards. Otherwise, Gu Chunsha would not have taken a liking to these 2 snakes. What do you think about this newspaper? Gu Chunsha asked the white snake. Chapter 242. This book is truly not simple. We have to think of a way to retaliate. I've already informed the Calm Immortal Bureau about this. Gu Chunsha didn't dare to let his guard down. Oh yeah, how's the progress of your 28 Constellations Fiend Transformation art? Looking at the Heavenly Fae book, ignoring the general outline, which is the essence of the Great Tao, there is no specific cultivation method. The essence is the 28 Constellations Fae God Transformation. If you can successfully cultivate it, you can attain the Heavenly Fae true body and transform at will. Furthermore, the density of your Sciention astral energy will increase by 28 times. Young Master is wise. The white snake circulated her Sciention astral energy as a crimson snake appeared behind her. This snake had a pair of wings, and its body was covered in sparks of starlight. Although it wasn't very large, it exuded a mysterious aura. Young Master, we sisters have been forcefully sensing the power of the stars under the power of the altar these past few days, and have finally mastered the winged fire serpent transformation of the 28 Constellations Fiend God Transformation. If it wasn't for Young Master's help and the altar's ability to trigger the magnetic field of the mountains to sense the power of the stars, we would have needed at least 3 years of hard work to be able to fuse our astral energy with the power of the stars and condense the form of the winged fire serpent god star sovereign. Among the 28 constellations, the winged fire serpent had the nature of a snake and was compatible with her physique. Hence, this was the first transformation she cultivated. The 28 constellations were Hornwood Dragon, High Gold Dragon, Earth Raccoon, Room Sun Rabbit, Heart Moon Fox, Firetail Tiger, Water Leopard, Wellwood Dragon, Ghost Goat, Willow Earth Deer, Star Horse, Moon Deer, Winged Fire Serpent, Jun Water Earthworm, Koei Wood Wolf, Lu Gold Dog, Stomach Earth Pheasant, Pleiades Sun Chicken, Moon Crow, Jiao Fire Monkey, Ginseng Water Ape, Battlewood Ho Golden Ox, Girl Earth Bat, Void Sun Rat, Dangerous Moon Swallow, Room Fireboar Wall Water Serpent. These were the constellations created by the ancient demon race. Hence, each constellation corresponded to a supreme demonic god. It was rumored that during the Desolate Era, there were 28 supreme demonic gods that named themselves after the constellations in the sky. They sensed their own bodies and finally fused with their Tao, becoming a part of the constellations and blending into the vast starry skies. The 28 Lunar Mansions Fiend God transformation recorded in the Heaven Fae book wasn't an evil demonic art. On the contrary, it was a divine power of the righteous path. Now, the classification of celestial bodies was also based on the 28 Lunar Mansions. This 28 Constellations Fiend God transformation art was a supreme demonic Tao of the ancient times. Through meditation, one would be able to control the fluctuations of the astral energy and fuse with the heavens and earth. Finally, one would be able to sense the descent of the astral energy and undergo a complex combination of breathing and breathing to transform into the Fiend God Star Monarch. There couldn't be the slightest mistake. If there was a mistake, the astral energy would go berserk and the body would be blasted into smithereens. However, once it was mastered, its might would be world-shaking, far surpassing that of other magical techniques. Gu Qinsha had figured out the profoundness of this spell. It was to gather the star power and form a perfect cycle. This way, the star power would not disperse and would instead grow stronger. This spell was unique and involved the most complicated changes in the star power chain. If he had not been multitasking, he would not have been able to understand it at all. The winged fire serpent appeared on the back of the white serpent. Innate stellar energy formed runes that locked in the stellar energy and circulated it. Finally, it transformed into this tiny, flaming serpent. After this serpent was cultivated, the white serpent's Sciention stellar energy would at least double. If all 28 constellations Fiend God transformation art was cultivated, then it would use its Sciention stellar energy to form 28 Fiend God star monarchs. Then, 7 of them would turn into Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Xuanwu. That would be unparalleled strength that could sweep the world. All of you have been refined by me and are just a step away from the Tao Realm 9 transformation glass body. Now that you have cultivated the winged fire serpent monster god, star monarch virtual body, in just a few days, you will be able to step into the Tao Realm 9 transformation. I think that your winged fire serpent star monarch virtual body isn't strong, and it is far from completion. Then, don't cultivate other transformations and complete this transformation first. Gu Qinsha guided. His usage of the astral energy was even above the techniques recorded in the Heaven Monster Book. This was because the star sacrifice technique in the Son of Heaven God sealing technique was the best in the world. Apart from that, the Great Massacre God technique that Liu Baiwei taught him also had parts on how to use the astral energy. That Buzhou Dao focused on using the astral energy. However, the person who had the deepest comprehension of the astral energy was probably Grand Tutor Wenhong. This person combined many ancient techniques and created the 10,000 star flying celestial technique, as expected from the Son of Destiny. Thank you for your guidance. The two of us feel like we are about to break through to the most crucial step and reach the Tao Realm 9 transformation. The white serpent bowed once more. The two of you cultivate beside the winged fire serpent god beast. Gu Qinsha guided them. He used giant stones to carve the winged fire serpent god beast and placed it around the temple. During these few days, under his guidance, they had absorbed a lot of astral energy. Half a month later, these stone beasts all had a mind of their own, and normal ghosts didn't dare to get close. The green serpent and white serpent went down to cultivate, while Gu Qinsha gathered astral energy once more. His cultivation base was getting stronger and stronger. With a slight exercise of his cultivation base, the innate earth energy spread out from the top of his head, condensing into a concave mirror with a radius of tens of miles. This mirror seemed to be formed by many earth energy mirrors, and it was spinning and flashing, absorbing the power of the stars at an astonishing speed. Gu Qinsha's move was one of the variations of the Son of Heaven God sealing technique. It could quickly gather astral energy. Huge astral energy was absorbed by the concave mirror and gathered into the depths of the Dragon Gate. In the depths of the Dragon Gate, the Star River whirlpool became thicker and stronger. Who knew how long passed? Suddenly, the Star River whirlpool split open and 7 god beasts appeared. They were the Fighting with Centipede, Golden Bullnyo, Earthbat of Girl, Void Sun Rat, Wei Yin, Room Fire Pig, and Wall Water Centipede. The 7 god beast stars rotated once more and turned into a star Xuanwu. It swallowed and spat in the depths of the Dragon Gate. In the end, it condensed and turned into a Xuanwu diagram, which was carved on the inner walls of the Dragon Gate. Gu Qinsha nodded and stopped the technique. He adjusted the nourishment of his stellar chi. Cultivating the 28 constellations Fiend God transformation was beneficial to his comprehension of the astral energy. Thus, he made use of this opportunity to refine the Dragon Gate once more. The Dragon Gate swallowed the astral energy and changed its structure, becoming more and more mysterious. Martial Song Star Fall, Transform. He activated it again, and another ball of starlight fell down and turned into a sphere. This sphere was the condensation of the astral energy of the Martial Song Star. Who knew how many mysteries were hidden in it? Turn into runes and guide me. Under Gu Qinsha's power, the starlight sphere turned into runes again. It spun in the air
and pointed towards Wuzhou City before dissipating. As expected, the reincarnated person of the martial song star is in Wuzhou City. Narrowing the range, it will be easier to find him. He nodded. At the same time, in the study room of the palace near Sky-Bearing Pass, a few important figures were handling government affairs. Liu Chongxiao, Fong Lin, Zhu Xia, Wen Xiang, and the others were busy looking at the mountain of official affairs. At this time, there was no one on the throne. The heavenly talisman monarch was still in seclusion. Everyone, take a look at this newspaper, the National Fortune News. They actually printed the martial arts manuals on it and published it to the world. It seems to be against the rules. Liu Chongxiao took out a newspaper. I've seen this before. It's trending all over the world. Zhu Xia said, I also have many officials here asking about their opinions on this news and how the imperial court will deal with it. If I remember correctly, this newspaper should be published by Prince Heng's reincarnation, the bullet sword. The young minister, Fong Lin, looked at a person in the corner. Third Earl, you are the latest to enter the study room and are very familiar with the bullet sword prince. What do you think? This third Earl was a middle-aged man with white hair on both sides of his temples. He had a scholarly aura and was a poor scholar in his early years. However, he was sponsored by the Hung clan and married a lady from the Hung clan. Back then, when the heavenly talisman monarch reprimanded the first prince, Gu Hongsha, he used him for disaster relief. In the end, after a round of disaster relief, Third Earl did an outstanding job. He quickly mobilized funds from the people and contacted the officials and the aristocratic families to quell the disaster. Such a meritorious service had to be rewarded. Hence, he entered the study room and became an important minister in the imperial court. However, he was at the bottom of the list and was diligent in his work. He never fought with the other ministers, and nobody targeted him. Hearing Fong Lin's question, he quickly raised his head and put down the brush in his hand. I've only entered the study room for a short period of time. I'm still studying and don't have any opinions. I'll just listen to your opinions. I think this is a good idea. Publishing martial arts manuals and distributing them to the world. Everyone can learn martial arts, and it will boost the nation's martial spirit. At this moment, Liang Tao spoke. The crown prince has made great contributions. He conquered the wilderness and expanded the territory. This is martial arts. He is worried about the nation's fate. Look at the political discussion in this newspaper. It's quite incisive. Now, the imperial court and the commoners are all applauding it, and it has won the hearts of the people. Whether this matter is good or bad, since it involves the crown prince, we still have to ask the emperor to make a decision. Minister Wen's expression was very solemn. However, the emperor has been in seclusion for several months and hasn't appeared. All the government affairs are handled by me, and he didn't let any of the princes govern the country. We don't have a backbone and can't make decisions. As a result, many things can't be handled. When the emperor comes out of seclusion, we will discuss this matter together. Many of the ministers looked at each other and felt that this matter was to show the emperor's attitude. Which prince would have the chance to inherit the throne in the future? Right now, the heavenly talisman emperor hadn't expressed his opinion and didn't have any particular prince in mind. Are all of you discussing government affairs? At this moment, a lady appeared at the entrance of the study room. This lady was actually wearing a veil, and her entire body exuded an aura of light. So it's concubine Ming. Please halt. No one is allowed to enter the study room. When the ministers saw her, they immediately stood up. This veiled lady was Wu clan's Wu Dankong. She was the manager of the Scenic Martial Merchant Association and was summoned to the palace by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor to be conferred the title of Concubine Ming. Everyone, I'm here on behalf of the Emperor. Concubine Ming Wu Dankong still walked into the study room. In her hand was a handwritten decree. All of you, please take a look. This is the Emperor's personal handwriting. It says that during the period of seclusion, this imperial concubine can handle many difficult matters in the study room. The handwritten decree was placed on the table by concubine Ming Wu Dankong. Immediately, all the ministers came over to take a look. Sure enough, it was the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's handwriting, During the period of seclusion, concubine Ming can enter the study room to handle difficult matters with the ministers. The ministers present confirmed again and again that it was indeed the heavenly talisman emperor's handwriting. It couldn't be faked. But this decree was simply unimaginable. In the past dynasties, the harem was not allowed to interfere in politics. Although the heavenly talisman dynasty didn't have such a rule, the harem, including the empress, abided by the rules. Right now, this concubine Ming had just entered the harem. Her qualifications were shallow, and she didn't even have a firm foothold in the harem. The emperor wanted her to enter the study room to manage the situation on behalf of the princes. What was the meaning of this? If this spread out, what would the world think? What would the ministers of the imperial court think? Chapter 243. What? Concubine Ming Wu Dangkong has entered the high study room and is making a decision? In the calming immortal department, Gu Huasha was the first to receive the news. Even someone as shrewd as him could not help but be shocked. Could it be that concubine Ming made a fake imperial edict while father was in seclusion? That's impossible. Lu Baiwei was very calm. This must be the emperor's intention. Concubine Ming has just entered the palace not long ago. How could she have the ability to do so? Everyone in the palace is powerful and only listens to the emperor. Even if she has the ability to reach the heavens and a martial saint descends, she will still be helpless. The emperor's action may have a deeper meaning that is beyond our imagination. Isn't this nonsense? Gu Huasha shook his head. What about Old 19? Did he send any news from the Martial Province? He is still investigating the reincarnated person of the Martial Song Planet, but he has had a great harvest recently. He has subdued 2 snake demon kings of the Shouyang Mountain Snake Clan in the lair of 10,000 dragons. At the same time, he has obtained the fate of the snake demons, the book of heavenly demon left behind by goddess Hugu. Lu Baiwei smiled and was very satisfied. The book of heavenly demon is no small matter. Don't you think so, Jean Suebua? Yes, department head. Jean Suebua had now entered the calming immortal department and contacted the immortal Dao. He had a large number of subordinates and worked diligently. Most of the calming immortal department's income came from the taxes he collected from the immortal Dao. Half of the calming immortal department's current smooth operation was due to this person's efforts. Moreover, this person seemed to be loyal and did not take any bribes. He did things flawlessly and was even more loyal than a loyal official. Lu Baiwei and Gu Huasha could not find any signs of disloyalty in him. The Book of Heavenly Demon itself is a supreme divine artifact. It is as famous as the peerless Heavenly Book and the Eternal Heavenly Book. This book has the ability to operate the universe, mediate good fortune, and contain the power of the stars. Moreover, the book can form a world of its own. If we can obtain it, our calming immortal department will have this strange treasure to protect us, and then we won't have to fear those old fogies. Jean Suebua was extremely familiar with all kinds of treasures in the world of Tao. He explained, however, I see that the Book of Heavenly Yao is damaged. It's likely that its spirit isn't strong enough and needs to be nurtured. That's why it hasn't shown any miraculous effects. Fortunately, when Royal Prince Chun returns and department heads unparalleled skills, we'll be able to break the seal and repair its spirit, turning it into a kingdom of heavenly Yao. Once the Sky Demon Nation is formed, even if we encounter any mishaps, we will be able to escape unscathed. Gu Huasha also nodded his head. Jean Suebua, tell me, why did the Emperor allow Ming Fei to enter the upper study room to decide on all matters? I don't understand either. Jean Suebua furrowed his brows and thought hard. After I received this news, I thought about it for a long time. I don't know what the Emperor's intentions are. If I can figure out the Emperor's wisdom, my cultivation will be much higher than it is now. Either Wu Dangkong has inherited some kind of providence, and the Emperor is using this woman's providence to play chess with the heavenly Tao. Lu Baiyue's eyes flickered. His Majesty isn't someone who is lustful for women. He brought this lady into the palace to force the Wu clan to take a stand. Secondly, this lady must have some kind of secret. This lady is just a chess piece of His Majesty. It's possible, very likely. Suddenly, Jin Suebua seemed to remember something. Wu Dankong, Wu Dankong. When I was in Limitless Celestial Sect, there was a rumor that there was a vision when a girl from the Wu clan was born. The mysterious gate of divination of the immortal Dao Mystic Gate once went to the Wu clan to discuss something. He said that this woman had the appearance of a monarch, but that was just a rumor. No one took it to heart. Since ancient times, there has never been a woman who became a monarch. What? There is such a rumor? Liu Baiwei was shocked. Where did you hear it? Back then, I was still an elder of Limitless Celestial Sect. I had a wide circle of friends and knew many secrets. Furthermore, I had dealings with many supreme elders of the mysterious gate of divination. Jin Suebua said, however, this rumor is very secretive, and I don't know if it is wrong, because it is simply impossible. But now, it seems that the Emperor might really be because of this. If that's the case, the Emperor is definitely using this to play a game with the providence of heaven and earth. Liu Baiwei had a rough idea. Jin Suebua, thank you for dispelling the doubts in my heart this time. You don't have to do this, department head. Since I joined the Celestial Commerce Department, I will wholeheartedly work for you. In my opinion, in this world, other than the 3 department heads who can support the country and make up for the deficiencies of the heavens, the others are all clay chickens and pottery dogs. Not worth mentioning. Jin Suebua said, I have cultivated for a very long time, and I can't escape the great calamity of life and death. But if I follow the 3 department heads, I might be able to escape the calamity in the future and enjoy longevity. I know that department head has always suspected that I have disloyalty, but this is really normal. As the saying goes, a strong wind tests the strong grass, and a turbulent board tests the loyal subjects. I will definitely do my best to work for the Celestial Commerce Department. It's rare for you to think so highly of us. Gu Huasha's expression changed slightly. In any case, if there is merit, then there will be rewards, and if there is a mistake, then there will be punishment. You don't have to worry that we will be on guard against you. Also, what does department head think of the National Fortune Report? Jin Suebua said, that was done by Gu Tanjian. Right now, he has become famous throughout the country with the publication of high-grade martial arts. If we let him have the right to speak, it will be extremely disadvantageous for our Celestial Commerce Department. Chen Shai has already informed me about this, Liu Baiwei said. This is indeed a tricky situation. We have to think of a countermeasure. Moreover, that National Fortune Report is distributed in the Wu province, which smacks of a conspiracy. Right now, Consort Ming Wu Dankong is in charge of matters in the upper study. Although she can't say that she can do whatever she wants, she still has the right to speak. From the looks of it, this woman and Gu Tanjian are working together to specifically target our Celestial Commerce Department. This subordinate will definitely plan this matter, Jin Suebua said. The boorish wasteland, the 7th Prince's fief. At this moment, the 10th Prince Gu Jinsha, the 7th Prince Gu Fasha, the 3rd Prince Gu Fasha, the 14th Prince Gu Yinsha, and the 18th Prince Gu Hongsha were all gathered together, seemingly discussing an important matter. Everyone, the current situation is already very clear. The 7th Prince Gu Fasha was the first to speak. The imperial court has already divided the factions. The 19th Prince and Liu Baiwei are working together to form the Celestial Commerce Department. They are the strongest, and we are basically unable to contend against them. Secondly, First Prince's son, Gu Tanjian, had some kind of fortuitous encounter, and his aptitude became an unparalleled prodigy. Furthermore, he is also recruiting talents without restraint. Recently, he has even faintly formed an alliance with the Wu clan. We are also not a match for him. If we still don't work together and attack on our own, we will no longer have any position in the imperial court. I will listen to 7th Prince. The 3rd Prince Gu Fasha expressed his opinion. Right now, it is indeed time for us to unite. What do you say, 10th Prince? I have no opinion. The 10th Prince Gu Jinsha was also a little discouraged.
My cultivation is already unable to catch up to that brat, Lu Baiwei and Gu Qinsha. That little bastard, Gu Tanjian, is even riding on my head. I heard that Gu Tanjian has the dragon-nurturing elixir that can increase one's aptitude to a prodigy. He even has the legendary creation dragon elixir that can increase one's aptitude to an unparalleled prodigy. The 18th Prince Gu Hongsha said, "Our aptitudes aren't good enough, and our cultivation is unable to increase. If we could become prodigies, why would our status be like this? In my opinion, we can make use of the conflict between Gu Tanjian and the Celestial Commerce Department to obtain some benefits from Gu Tanjian. As long as we can become prodigies, our cultivation will be smooth sailing. This plan is also very good, but I am afraid that Gu Tanjian will make use of it. We have to send someone to contact this child and persuade him. How about it?" The 7th Prince Gu Fascia was in favor. "I will contact this child, but the key is for us to be of one mind and form a whole. Only then will we be qualified to obtain sufficient benefits from this child. You must know that this child seems to be gradually operating among the commoners." The 3rd Prince Gu Hongsha said, "When we princes unite, we are also a powerful force. If Gu Tanjian obtains our support, he will probably be able to immediately take control of the situation in the imperial court, and we will also be able to obtain what we want. I think that as long as we all become prodigies, the current situation will definitely not be like this." That's right. It is rumored that prodigies can cultivate to the Great Path Golden Elixir as long as they have fated it. They will have a lifespan of 1,000 years. Who wouldn't want that? The 10th Prince Gu Jinsha circled around. "For the sake of our common interests, we should all join forces and negotiate with that brat Gu Tanjian. What do you think?" "I agree. I agree as well." The princes all expressed their opinions. In Wuzhou City, at this moment, Gu Tanjian was in a courtyard deep within the Tiger Leopard League, observing the sky at night. There was no one around him. The stars in the sky flickered, and they contained endless mysteries. His eyes seemed to have become vortexes of stars. It was unknown what kind of mystical art he was cultivating. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure descended, appearing soundlessly in the courtyard. This person was like a ghost or god. He came without a shadow, and his martial arts and Tao techniques had already reached an unimaginable level. "Jing Fanqing, you've finally come out of seclusion? Not bad. As expected of an unparalleled genius, you have cultivated the Jindan of the Great Path." Gu Tanjian seemed to have known who had come. The newcomer was actually concubine Ming Wu Dankong's fiancé, Jing Fanqing. This kid had long entered the immortal path, and his cultivation was unfathomable. Now, he had actually cultivated the Jindan of the Great Path and appeared out of nowhere. Logically speaking, to cultivate the Jindan of the Great Path, you should have a banquet and an immortal convention. But you actually hid yourself. It looks like you feel deeply humiliated and don't have the face to host a banquet, Gu Tanjian said. "The hatred of stealing my wife is absolutely irreconcilable. This Yanko must be destroyed. Gu Taxian, I must kill him." Jing Fanqing was a young man. He was extremely tall and handsome, with slender brows and starry eyes. His temperament was otherworldly, but now he had a hint of killing intent and loneliness, which added to his charm. "You have quite the ambition, but your strength is too weak. If the Heavenly Talisman Emperor wants to kill you, a single thought will kill you. Even if you hide in the black gate of heaven and earth, you will die for sure." Gu Tanjian laughed loudly. "You must not act rashly. Once you die, there will be nothing left. Why did you call me here this time?" Jing Fanqing faced Gu Tanjian with murderous intent. "What? You want to kill me? You don't have that ability." Gu Tanjian did not care. "I advise you to extinguish that thought, or you might die prematurely. Is that so? Everyone with the surname Gu must die." Jing Fanqing took a step forward, but the moment he took that step, layers of space-time mazes appeared before him. Chapter 244. That's right. This is the god of chaos. I am blessed by the gods, and anyone who tries to harm me will be cursed by the gods. Gu Tanjian's eyes flashed with disdain. Jing Fanqing, forget you. Even some of the old-timers from the Black Heaven Earth sect wouldn't be able to do anything to me. But this time, we're friends, not enemies. This is a letter from concubine Wu Dangkong. She asked me to give it to you. It's not convenient for her to see you right now, but if you follow our plan, the two of you will be reunited one day. As he spoke, Gu Tanjian produced a letter. With a flick of his wrist, the letter fell into Jing Fanqing's hands. This kid really is unfathomable. Jing Fanqing could already tell that Gu Shangjian's cultivation was actually not very strong, but the power behind him was like a mountain and a sea, almost immeasurable. Even though he had seen the aura of some of the old antiques in the Black Heaven Earth sect, they had not made his heart palpitate and oppress like this. This letter had been personally written by concubine Wu Dangkong. After reading it, Jing Fanqing's face was a mixture of sadness and joy. He had no idea what was written inside. After reading the letter, he clenched his fists, and a flame ignited in his palms. The letter turned to ash, and he regained his composure. Very good, Gu Tanjian. From now on, we are partners. I hope you don't disappoint me. What do you think of the reincarnated Martial Star? Where is he? He's in Wuzhou City. I just don't know who he is. Gu Tanjian waved his hand dismissively. What's the rush? Reincarnated people with the profound mysteries of the stars will only reveal themselves when they awaken. If they don't awaken, no one will be able to tell. Unless you reach the level of a saint, you'll be able to divine some clues. No wonder he's been in Wuzhou City for so long. Jing Fanqing looked up at the sky. Do you want to recruit the reincarnated Martial Star as your subordinate, or extract his profound mysteries of the stars for yourself? Of course, it's to extract the profound meaning of star. Gu Tanjian chuckled coldly. I'm going to extract the profundities of the martial song star, and then the literati star. Then, I'll gather all 7 stars and transform into the Lord of 7 stars. That way, I'll have the talent to become an innate saint. You need to be careful, Jing Fanqing said. Since ancient times, the reincarnation of the stars has its own mysteries. Even if someone takes it away, it won't last long. Instead, it'll bring disaster. But since that's the case, I want a piece of the pie. What do you say? If I can't get the true spirit and profound meaning of Xing Chen's reincarnation, how can I kill Gu Taxian? Kill him? Forget about becoming the Lord of 7 stars, a natural-born saint. Even if you collected all the profound mysteries of the stars and became the Lord of the Stars, you still wouldn't be his match. Gu Shangjian almost laughed involuntarily. You know too little, so the ignorant are fearless. I don't believe you. Jing Fanqing's killing intent surged. Even the waters of the 5 lakes and 4 seas couldn't wash away his hatred for stealing his wife. I must kill Gu Taxian with my own hands, no matter the cost. Please teach me. As long as I can kill him, I'm willing to do anything for you. With that, he bowed to Gu Tanjian. Gu Tanjian couldn't help but be moved when he saw Jing Fanqing's determination. This matter depends on the changes in the heavenly Taos. Seizing the opportunity isn't something you and I can do. But since you're so determined, it shows you're a trustworthy person. In truth, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor is using 99% of his strength to suppress the Heavenly Taos, the gods, the immortals, and the devils. He can't spare any energy for anything else. Think about it. If he still had the energy, he wouldn't have let your fiancé into his study to preside over state affairs. What do you mean? Jing Fanqing asked. Haha, are you testing me? Gu Tanjian waved his hand. I know of Wu Dongkong's identity. She presides over the study and the affairs of the entire country. She can alleviate the changes in the heavenly Taos and reverse the future. But this also means that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor no longer has the ability to completely control the future. He needs to rely on schemes to complete it. He no longer has the power to control everything in his hands. This is his weakness. You actually have such a deep insight. Jing Fanqing was truly convinced. He felt that nothing could be hidden from Gu Tanjian. This time, I came down the mountain to find opportunities and opportunities to increase my strength. There's no longer any use for me to bitterly cultivate in the sect. The heavenly Daos are changing and the winds are surging. All sorts of opportunities would appear out of nowhere. This is the era of heroes. Obtaining opportunities depends on luck and means. Gu Tianjian continued, "There's an opportunity right now. I wonder if you're willing to cooperate with me?" "What opportunity?" Jing Fanqing asked. "Do you know the Book of Heavenly Demon?" With a wave of Gu Tianjian's hand, many jade tables and benches appeared in the courtyard. He sat down, and a teapot appeared on it. A fragrant aroma filled the air. "How about we talk while drinking tea?" Jing Fanqing was no longer in a hurry. He sat down and sipped his tea. "Oh, this tea is made from star velvet grass after tens of thousands of processes. It's passed down from ancient times. You actually have this tea." "That's easy," Gu Tianjian said indifferently. "It's best to use heavenly dew to brew this tea. Otherwise, it won't be able to bring out the taste. Just 10 minutes of tea is enough to turn a mortal into a martial arts grandmaster." "You mentioned the Book of Heavenly Demon. I remember that this book fell into the hands of the nine-tailed celestial fox. She used this book to build a temple, gather faith, and cultivate to a very deep realm." As Jing Fanqing sipped his tea, he continued, "This book can refine faith and wish power as resources. It's almost like a god. The content recorded in the book is even more exquisite. If you can obtain this book and master the cultivation technique in it, you can establish a sect that's not inferior to the 72 mystical sects of the immortal Tao." "Not bad. A few days ago, this book appeared," Gu Tianjian said. "It fell into the hands of two snake monsters who are related to Hugu. If you're interested, I can guide you to where they are." "Where are they?" When Jing Fanqing heard this, he was really interested. Slaying demons and monsters is the duty of us as celestial path cultivators. Such a book can't fall into the hands of evil demons. "Can't you see anything wrong?" Gu Tianjian pointed at the sky. "Look, what is the difference in the power of the stars outside Wuzhou City?" Jing Fanqing's brow twitched, and his spiritual sense reached 100 miles into the sky. Instantly, thousands of miles of land was within the range of his spiritual sense. Even thousands of feet underground could be seen clearly. This was the ability of Tao Realm Transformation 15, Heavenly Eye Hanging Space. Jing Fanqing was someone at Tao Realm Transformation 18, and his soul was really strong. He used a secret technique to observe and seemed to be able to see some things. In a mountain range in the northwest, there seems to be some star power collapsing, but I can't see anyone cultivating there. If I am not wrong, they should be using some secret technique to hide a place in the mountain." Jing Fanqing immediately saw the clues and retracted his divine sense. Could it be that the two snake demons have learned the sky demon secret technique and are cultivating it here? How bold! They should hide after getting the Book of Sky Demon. The endless land is so wide, they should hide in a corner where no one is and come out after they have cultivated the technique. The world is so big, there is nowhere to hide. Gu Shengjian waved his hand. "These two snake demons are afraid that an undue delay will bring trouble. If they were to look for a place, it would take several months, and it's hard to say what would happen at that time. Who knows, they might be intercepted and killed along the way and end up with nothing. It's better for them to choose a place to hide and cultivate a few spells. That way, they would have the ability to protect themselves. Moreover, this place is where Hugu Temple was stationed back then. Who knows, they might even have some fortuitous encounters. If those two snake monsters can use the ability of the Book of Sky Demon and form their own space, it will be tough for me to find them." Jing Fanqing smiled. "Brother Flicking Sword, do you want me to be the vanguard to probe them so that you can reap the benefits?" "I also want the Book of Sky Demon." Gu Tianjian was direct. "Even your sect leader wouldn't reject this treasure. But if you need it, I won't snatch it from you. You can have it, but I want to borrow it to gather the wish power of the people to break through." "It's a deal," Jing Fanqing said. "Since that's the case, I'll go check it out." According to legend, The 28 constellations, fiend, god, transformation recorded in the Book of Heavenly Demons is a supreme cultivation path that can strengthen one's innate astral energy by 28 times. I will wait for Brother Jing's good news. An indiscernible smile appeared in Gu Tanjian's eyes. Jing Fanqing flew up silently and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Seeing Jing Fanqing leave, Gu Tanjian's expression turned serious. This child is indeed powerful. A golden core expert is indeed a cultivator who stands at the peak. If I can snatch his golden core. Unfortunately, behind him is the Black Heaven Earth sect, and behind the Black Heaven Earth sect are 3 heavenly venerables. These 3 heavenly venerables are peak sages, and even gods can't contend against them. I can't attack him and can only borrow his power, but I must obtain the Book of Sky Demon. In fact, the most mysterious method of the Book of Sky Demon is to gather all the demons in the world to pray in the Sky Demon Kingdom in the book. Every demon gathered will strengthen the power of the book, and the owner of the book will also strengthen. At this time, Jing Fanqing had also flown above the mountain range hundreds of kilometers away. He sneered. This Gu Tanjian's cultivation is far inferior to mine, but he has a mysterious power behind him that is far beyond my reach. This child is sinister and cunning, and he can't be trusted. Cooperating with him is simply asking a tiger for its skin, but I am also confident that I can seize your power. The 2 of them were scheming against each other, each with their own plans. Jing Fanqing looked at a mountain peak in a mountain range below. It looked like a barren mountain forest with lush trees, jagged rocks, and flowing mountain springs. It was desolate and uninhabited, and no one could tell that anyone was cultivating there. But what kind of cultivation level was he? A golden core, great Tao expert, was a top-notch figure even in the Black Heaven Earth sect. He immediately knew that someone had used a powerful demonic art to deceive the entire mountain peak. Black Heaven Earth sect change. Behind him, Connate Stellar Chi appeared. It first condensed into many talismans, and then the talismans and talismans combined to form a small door. The top of the door was clear, and the bottom was murky, symbolizing heaven and earth. Chapter 245. What? Father actually let Wu Dangkong decide everything in the study room? That's the regent? Isn't that nonsense? A newly conferred concubine has to be cautious in the harem and do things with her tail between her legs. How did she suddenly become the chief minister of the study room? And it even smells like regent? Gu Qinsha was cultivating. When he heard that concubine Ming had entered the study room, his first reaction was that it was preposterous. He also felt that the heavenly talisman, the arch, had gone berserk. But when he thought about it carefully, there was probably a deeper meaning behind it. No matter how the world changes, the most important thing is still strength. After obtaining the Book of Heavenly Demon, the contents have inspired me greatly. It's a good time to cultivate and strengthen my Xiantian astral energy. He didn't forget about his cultivation. These days, while cultivating in the mountains, he once again carefully calculated and analyzed his own strengths and weaknesses. His greatest strength was his 2 magical treasures. The first was the heavenly sacrificial talisman, which had fused with his sea of consciousness. It protected his soul from being taken away and his mind from being controlled by others. If he encountered any danger he couldn't resist, he could hide in the space of the sun-moon sacrificial altar. Even a god couldn't do anything to him. The second was the Dragon Gate. It could absorb Xiantian astral energy attacks and even absorb spiritual will attacks. Apart from that, it could store Xiantian astral energy hundreds of times more than his own. If he didn't have these 2 magic treasures, he would only be able to defeat someone who was 3 transformations higher than him at most. He wouldn't be able to surpass them any further. He was now at the 10th transformation of the Tao realm. If he met an expert at the 13th transformation of the Demon Eater and Ghost Eater, he could still fight. If he met someone at the 14th transformation of the Primordial Spirit, he could only flee. But now, with these 2 Dharma treasures, even the golden core of the 18 transformations, great Tao couldn't do anything to him. However, this ultimately relied on the power of the Dharma treasures and not his own cultivation. Especially the heaven's sacrificial talisman, it was very unreliable. Maybe one day, the heavenly Tao would change and the talisman would fly away. The Dragon Gate was still fine as it was refined by itself. After obtaining the cultivation technique on the Sky Demon book, Gu Chunsha thought of ways to raise his cultivation level again. Over the past few days, he had set up the Dharma altar to draw the power of the stars. With his robust foundation, he managed to master the Black Tortoise 7 Mansions transformation of the 28 Constellations Demon God transformation in a short month. Combining his innate Gang Chi with the power of the stars, he formed 7 Demon God celestial monarchs: the Fighting Wood Centipede, the Golden Ox Neo, the Earth Bat of Girl, the Sun Rat of Emptiness, the Wei Yu Wei Yin, the Room Fire Pig, and the Wall Water Centipede. Every time he formed a Fiend God Celestial Lord, his innate energy doubled, and with 7 of them added together, it was a 7-fold increase. Then, the 7 Fiend God Star Monarchs condensed into a star Black Tortoise, which swam in the depths of the body's major meridians, expanding the capacity of the body. If he mastered the 28 Constellations Demon God transformation, he would form the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise in his body. Together with the Sky Demon Secret technique, he would be able to cultivate the Sky Demon True Body. The storage capacity and toughness of the energy would surpass that of ancient beasts. However, the reason why Gu Chunsha could cultivate the 7 divine beast celestial lords in a short time and form the Star Black Tortoise was that he had the Black Tortoise bloodline in his body and was extremely familiar with it. As for the remaining Azure Dragon, White Tiger, and Vermilion Bird, it would be very difficult for him to cultivate. He would need at least a few decades of hard work. Of course, he was not satisfied with the cultivation technique on the Sky Demon book. Instead, he integrated the 28 Constellations Demon God transformation's profundity into the common people heaven mending technique that he created. Therefore, the Fiend God Star Monarch he cultivated did not have the tyrannical aura that came from the ancient times. Instead, it had the spirit and aura of caring for the world, constantly striving to become stronger and never admitting defeat. As the Fiend God Star Monarch condensed and became active, his common people heaven-mending technique became more and more perfect. One had to know that he was not as talented as he was in the past. At that time, his cultivation technique was basically full of flaws. He was now an unparalleled genius that was rarely seen in history. Even an unparalleled genius like Gu Hua could create the 9 disasters transformation, let alone him. The common people heaven-mending technique was a Tao that he comprehended himself. It was connected to his life, and no one could take it away. At this moment, he was comprehending the transformation in an attempt to strengthen his spiritual will and cultivate the 11th transformation, Soul Tentacles. This transformation was to continuously condense his spiritual will into one and spread it out of his body to explore and sense the outside world. From there, he could use his heart to observe the true appearance of the world. However, this transformation was very difficult to cultivate. Although Gu Chunsha had some ideas, he was still far from being able to use it as he wished and sense everything like a tentacle. Suddenly, he felt that the power of the stars above the mountain seemed to be disturbed by a huge magnetic field. He hurriedly opened his eyes. The Sun-Moon Dragon suddenly emitted a blinding light. He saw an extremely handsome young man with an unparalleled demeanor standing high in the sky. His connate earth chi condensed into a small door. However, the door emitted an extremely powerful aura, as if it was going to destroy the entire mountain. Heaven Earth Black Gate, Golden Core Expert. This person is a Golden Core Expert from the Heavenly Heaven Earth sect. Gu Chunsha immediately recognized this method. He had discussed with Tai Mengdi from the Tai Fantasy sect for a long time and naturally knew the various methods of the Heavenly Heaven Earth sect. The Heavenly Heaven Earth sect was the #1 profound sect, while the Tai Fantasy sect was #2. The two sects seemed to be harmonious on the surface, but they were actually fighting openly and secretly. As the son of the sect master of the Tai fantasy sect, he naturally knew all the methods of the opponent. Once the heavenly heaven-earth sect transformation was used, it could shatter everything, shape the universe, and seize the opportunity of life and death. At this moment, the black tortoise baby wasn't by his side. Although he wasn't afraid of golden core experts, he definitely wouldn't underestimate them. Especially golden core experts from the #1 sect, like the heavenly heaven-earth sect. Since the other party had used such a powerful martial art, he was definitely an enemy and not a friend. When Gu Qinsha saw it, he attacked. He didn't attack himself. Instead, he slapped his seat. Instantly, dozens of starlights flew out from the bottom of the altar. They were like comets, dragging long tails and as fast as lightning. In an instant, they struck the young man in the sky, Jing Fanqing. Demon God's great destruction thunder? Jing Fanqing suddenly expanded the heavenly heaven-earth sect and absorbed the starlight thunder. This thunder takes a long time to prepare. Although it's powerful, it's still lacking in the face of the heavenly heaven-earth sect transformation. Boom! Just as he spoke, the starlight thunder that he swallowed suddenly underwent a huge change. All the starlight thunder turned into dazzling light that was like the sun and the moon. After condensing violently, it suddenly exploded. The entire heavenly heaven-earth sect that was formed by Gangxi was torn apart. Then, the tearing force swept out and enveloped Jing Fanqing's body. What is this? It's not the demon god's great destruction thunder. The heavenly heaven-earth sect that was formed by Jing Fanqing's own Gangxi exploded. His primordial qi shook, and his qi and blood surged. He spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, Gu Qinsha got up from the altar on the mountain and turned into a human figure. He had already arrived in front of Jing Fanqing and pointed out with a finger. This finger was the common people heaven mending technique. Jing Fanqing had just been hit by the thunder and was caught off guard. He was slightly injured, and his Xiantian Gang Qi was in a mess. Gu Qinsha had seized this opportunity to suddenly attack. This was his chain of attacks. His life-mending heaven technique had tens of thousands of transformations. It was like a saint asking the heavens, and a whirlpool appeared on his finger. It seemed like it wanted to suck in everything in its path, and then break it open to create a new essence of the great Tao. In a hurry, Jing Fanqing struck out with his palm, and the tip of Gu Qinsha's finger made contact. Both of them were sent flying. Whoosh! Jing Fanqing let out a long howl and spat out another mouthful of blood. He was far away. He had been injured twice, and he was afraid that his opponent would have more powerful techniques. It was best to save his life first. As for Gu Qinsha, he landed on the ground. The blood in his body roiled, and he only calmed down after dozens of breaths. This person is strong. A Golden Dan Great Tao expert is indeed not to be underestimated. If I hadn't hidden the sun and moon divine thunder within the demon god's god of destruction thunder and caught him off guard, I'm afraid there would have been a battle. It's hard to say who would have won. Gu Qinsha was secretly shocked. When he had faced the 18 transformation Golden Dan Great Tao Guhua, if he hadn't used the black tortoise baby, he wouldn't have been able to fight back. And now, Jing Fanqing's strength was probably above Guhua's. But he was alone, and with his changes and preparation, he had injured his opponent and forced him to flee. From this, one could see that his strength had improved tremendously over the past few months. He had set up an altar at the top of the mountain to cultivate and gather the power of the stars. Putting aside the fact that he had condensed the demon god's thunder of destruction underground, he had also executed the sun-moon obliteration ultimate art and mixed the sun-moon divine thunder into the demon god's thunder of destruction. This thunder had been prepared for over a month, and it couldn't be released in a hurry. Gu Qinsha had prepared it to deal with experts. How could Jing Fanqing have predicted such a killing aura? He had suffered a small loss on the spot. However, it wouldn't be so easy to use this move to kill Jing Fanqing, unless Gu Qinsha had prepared the thunder for many years. What's that? Gu Shanjian, who was far away in the city, saw everything clearly, but he did not recognize Gu Qinsha. He only saw Jing Fanxing activating the black gate of heaven and earth and preparing to break through some kind of illusion. Suddenly, starry divine thunder flew out from the mountain and exploded the black gate of heaven and earth's astral chi. Then, a figure rushed out from the mountain and exchanged blows with Jing Fanxing. Jing Fanxing was injured and left, and the mountain returned to peace once again. There's an expert behind those two snake demons? Who is this person? How could he defeat Jing Fanxing? Gu Tianjian frowned. It wasn't that he hadn't thought of Gu Qinsha, but Gu Qinsha had comprehended the life-mending heaven technique. His aura and spirit had changed greatly. He was like a different person. He didn't expect Gu Qinsha to improve so quickly. Even Jing Fanxing hadn't been able to find out who was cultivating in the mountain, so Gu Tianjian didn't dare to act rashly. It looks like I have to talk to Li Tianxing again. The two snake demons betrayed the nest of 10,000 dragons. As the demon race's holy land, it wouldn't be right not to punish the traitors. Gu Tianjian loved to kill with a borrowed knife. Chapter 246. Young Master, Wuzhou City is currently in a turbulent state. Many experts have entered the city. We sisters have discovered several demon kings disguised as humans, as well as experts from the profound immortal Dao sect. It seems that news of Wu Chuxing's reincarnation has already spread. The green and white snakes went forward to report. Half a month had passed since he defeated Jing Fanxing. Gu Qinsha cultivated on the mountain, but no one came to spy on him, much less attack him. The green and white snake's cultivation levels gradually increased. They went down the mountain every day to scout for information. They refined the heaven demon art of concealment. Even people with higher cultivation levels than them would find it difficult to see through them. News really spreads fast. Gu Qinsha was still studying the book of Heavenly Demon. He had been trying to activate his divine art to break the restrictions in the book and open the inner space, but it didn't budge at all. He also flipped through the records of the book of Heavenly Demon and found many amazing things about it. Once the inner space was opened, there would be a heavenly demon kingdom that could take in all the demons in the world. They would pray day and night and absorb the power of prayers to strengthen their essence souls. Every time a demon was absorbed to cultivate and pray, the owner of the book would split his attention. For example, Gu Qinsha was multitasking. If he opened the book of Heavenly Demon and became its owner, he could take in 100,000 demons. Then, he would be able to multitask immediately. His psyche would be so strong that it was boundless. Every additional heart represented the strength of one's mental strength. This book was already comparable to a divine kingdom. Unfortunately, it was difficult to use. Even if he opened it, it would be even more difficult to become the owner of this book. Gu Qinsha carefully pondered it for a long time, but he was still powerless. He also wanted to open this book. If he could use this magic treasure, perhaps he would be able to capture a powerhouse of the 18 transformations with a slight sweep. The power of this treasure was far above Dragon Gate. I have to think of a way to open this treasure. There might be some undiscovered things in Hugu Temple. I have a feeling that Hugu God is not dead and is still using us as pawns. Gu Qinsha was still thinking hard. Suddenly, his mind stirred. Feeling the power of the stars pouring down from the sky, a bright light shot out from Wuzhou City and soared into the sky. The Wutsu star in the sky actually appeared in broad daylight. However, all of this happened in a split second. After that, all of the abnormal phenomena disappeared completely, as if everything that had happened earlier was nothing more than a dream. But Gu Qinsha immediately knew. The person who reincarnated from the martial tune star has appeared. As soon as Gu Qinsha rose to his feet, he was surrounded by a layer of astral energy, and the king dragon armor appeared on his body. "You guys wait here," he said. "Be ready to provide support at any time. I'll head to Martial Prefecture City immediately." These days, he had been continuously refining the king dragon armor. At this time, There were stars circulating on the armor, and a shadow of the demon god star monarch could be vaguely seen. The meridians and acupuncture points inside the king dragon armor were already very similar to those of a human. The huge power of the stars and spiritual chi twisted and combined, circulating according to a mysterious path. This armor only needed a few precious materials to advance it to the level of the divine dragon armor. After Gu Chansha put it on and combined it with his own flight technique, his speed would increase by a lot. Swish! As soon as the starlight disappeared, he had already traversed hundreds of miles and arrived at the ground in Wuzhou City, where the light had just shone. When he landed, he found that he was actually in a government residence. This was the back garden of the Wuzhou governor's residence. At this time, in the back garden, a young man dressed like a manservant was having a private meeting with a young lady from an official's family. The young manservant and the young lady seemed to have just been intimate. In the artificial mountain in the back garden, no one knew what had happened. The two of them were disheveled and were surrounded by many people. There were many experts in Wuzhou City. Although the abnormal phenomena just disappeared in an instant, how could they hide from the top experts? By the time Gu Qinsha arrived, a few shadows had already landed. The governor's residence was heavily guarded. Even Dao realm experts would find it difficult to sneak in. However, news of the reincarnation of the martial song star had already spread throughout the immortal Dao. There were some cultivators who could fly high up in the sky, and the residences of the mortal world couldn't stop them. However, this was Wuzhou's governor's residence after all. The laws of the Great Yonko were strict. Even immortal cultivators would die if they killed an official of the imperial court and stirred up trouble there. Many immortal and demonic cultivators were dissatisfied with the rules set by Heavenly Talisman Emperor, but they were all killed. Even the 72 mystic gates were fearful, so they surrounded the area and no one made the first move. With a long whistle, Wuzhou's governor appeared. He was the master of this place. When he saw the abnormal phenomena, he immediately notified the experts and sealed off the area. Gu Qinsha knew that the governor was called Sun Zhengxing and wasn't a member of the Wu clan. Instead, he was personally appointed by Heavenly Talisman Emperor and had been the governor for 15 years. The people of the entire Wuzhou were tough and hard to manage, especially the Wu clan, a sage clan. Wuzhou was like their backyard, and the words of some members of the Wu clan were even more accurate than the imperial court. Heavenly Talisman Emperor sent this person here to balance the Wu clan's influence in Wuzhou. From this, it could be seen that this person was no ordinary person. There were dozens of provinces in Wuzhou, and almost all the officials in each province had people from the Wu clan. Sun Zhengxing had been handling these relations all these years, stabilizing the entire situation in Wuzhou without any mistakes. Even Gu Qinsha couldn't help but admire this person's ability. When Gu Qinsha came to Wuzhou, he specially asked for the governor's information. This manservant who had an affair with Sun Zhengxing's third daughter is the reincarnation of the martial song star. Gu Qinsha landed and immediately understood what was going on. This young manservant had delicate features and thin lips. One look and one could tell that he had a glib tongue. As for the governor's daughter, she was so innocent and romantic. Everyone, the Wuzhou governor's residence is not a place you can just barge in. The imperial court has strict laws, and those who barge in will die. The Wuzhou governor hollered, giving off a thunderous roar. Gu Qinsha noticed that this person's cultivation was actually at Dao Realm Transformation 7. In the information, Wuzhou Governor Sun Zhengxing's cultivation was at Dao Realm Transformation 3, Copper Skin and Iron Bones. At this moment, he was actually at Transformation 7. This meant that this person had hidden his strength deeply. Now that the martial song star had reincarnated, he had no choice but to reveal his full strength. Gu Qinsha did not reveal his body. Instead, he activated the invisibility talisman within the Sun and Moon talisman. In addition to the invisibility power of the King Dragon armor, he also had a secret technique that prevented his mind from being exposed. Even a great Dao Golden Dan expert would not be able to discover his tracks. He stared at the manservant and was prepared to take him away at any moment. At the same time, he sized up the people around. He noticed that there were people from the Celestial Path sect, people from the monster race who gave off an evil aura, and even experts from the barbarian race. All sorts of cultivators gathered their auras, and none of them dared to snatch the manservant. That was because everyone knew that the moment they attacked, they would be struck by lightning. Gu Qinsha saw that Li Tiansheng was among them. Zombie Blood River and Iron Rock King, who had joined Gu Tanjian, were among them too. Sun Jingxing, you were right. The imperial court has its own rules, so we should hand this manservant over to them. Under everyone's gazes, Gu Tanjian appeared. He had appeared without a sound. Greetings, Prince. Sun Jingxing just nodded his head. As the governor, he had to bow when he met the king. However, Gu Tanjian was just a prince, so there was no need for him to bow and scrape. Moreover, Gu Tanjian didn't have any official position. Everyone, you are so bold to actually dare to cause trouble here? Who gave you the guts to do so? Gu Tanjian's gaze swept around and looked at the various experts in the back garden. I will count to 3. Leave immediately. Otherwise, your family will be exterminated and your sect will be annihilated. Ha ha ha! A Taoist priest laughed. Who are you? Do you think you are Gu Taxian? Ghost Axe and Tiangong, those 2 old fellows? Even those 2 old fellows wouldn't dare to speak nonsense. Let me tell you, today our Celestial Path sect will take the reincarnation of Martial Songstar. Celestial Path sect. Many people present were shocked when they heard the Taoist priest's identity. Gu Qinsha also quietly watched and didn't make a move. It wasn't that he was afraid of the people present, but if he made a move, his astral energy would be unbearable. It wouldn't be good if the reincarnation of Martial Songstar died. He also knew about the Celestial Path sect. In the ancient times, a disciple called Chang Yuzhou fought for the position of sect leader and failed. He led his henchmen and left the Celestial Path sect leader to create the Celestial Path sect. The Celestial Path sect leader had fought for an unknown amount of time. In the end, the Celestial Path sect leader couldn't do anything to the Celestial Path sect leader and could only let it exist. It was rumored that the current founder of the Celestial Path sect, Chang Yuzhou, was already dead, but he occasionally appeared in the world. He was no different from a saint. Celestial Path sect? Gu Tanjian laughed. Jing Fanqing, what do you say? Jing Fanqing appeared in front of Gu Tanjian and looked coldly at the Taoist priest. Chang Zihong, if you say another word, I will destroy your body and soul. Do you believe me? Scram. Everyone here, scram. I don't want any of you here in 10 breaths of time. Otherwise, you will all die. He released the aura of his great path golden core. The moment this aura was released, everyone retreated. Tao Realm 18 Transformations Golden Core was said to be undying for 1,000 years. In the Celestial Path, there weren't many people who could reach this level. Some of the old antiques could suppress Jing Fanqing, but they didn't dare to appear in the Great Yonko. They were afraid that they would be captured by the Imperial Court and end up like Elder Wang Ji from the Crimson Firmament sect. That would be a huge loss of face. When Chang Zihong from the Celestial Path saw Jing Fanqing, his expression changed. He was actually suppressed by his aura and didn't dare to speak. All of you scram. Jing Fanqing waved his hand, and instantly, earth energy swept out. Jing Fanqing, I will also give you 10 breaths of time. If you don't scram, I will destroy your body and soul. Do you believe me? Just at that moment, a cold voice spread out. A teen slowly descended from the sky. When Gu Tanjian saw this person, his expression changed. Fa Wuxian. Chapter 247. The more profound Gu Qinsha's cultivation was, the more he knew how terrifying innate sages were. These people were born with extraordinary intelligence, able to comprehend the heavenly Tao and understand the laws. Any martial arts would not be able to hide any secrets from them. They did not even need to learn to use them. They were even more profound than their creators. There was a world of difference between superior talent and genius. There was also a world of difference between genius and unparalleled talent. And the difference between unparalleled talent and innate sages was as wide as the nine heavens. Until now, Gu Qinsha knew that other than Fa Wuxian, there was no other innate sages in the Great Yonko. And for thousands of years, there was no innate sages in the mystic immortal Tao. As for Wenhong, he was the son of destiny, but he was not in the category of innate sages. Fa Wuxian's appearance instantly suppressed everyone. Even Gu Tanjian was wary of him. This Fa Wuxian's cultivation has improved a lot again. I can't see through him at all. So, although I have improved very quickly, I am still not his match. I must join forces with Bai Yue to suppress him. Gu Qinsha thought quickly. Although Liu Bai Yue had comprehended the great massacre god technique, and her cultivation had improved at a shocking rate, her cultivation was probably only on par with Fa Wuxian. If she wanted to suppress Fa Wuxian, she must join forces with Gu Qinsha. Jing Fanqing also saw that the person was Fa Wuxian, and his expression was even worse than Gu Tanjian's. Although he had cultivated the golden core of the 18 transformations great Tao, he was still very wary of the innate sages Fa Wuxian. He was a disciple of the mystic heaven-earth sect and an unparalleled talent himself. He knew more about the potential of innate sages than others. Naturally, he knew how terrifying Fa Wuxian was. Fa Wuxian is improving every time. He fought with us twice, once in my castle and once in the fight for Buzhou Palace. But because he was worried about father, he did not use his full strength. Gu Qinsha recalled the two fights he had with Fa Wuxian. Both times, Fa Wuxian had not displayed his true strength. If he were to go all out, it would be worth witnessing how powerful Fa Wuxian was. What? Aren't you going to get lost? Fa Wuxian looked at Jing Fanqing. Do you really think that I won't dare to kill you just because you're a disciple of the Black Heaven Earth sect? I didn't expect that even Fa Wuxian would covet Wu Chuxing's reincarnation. Gu Tanjian could sense the tension in the air and hurriedly said, "Your latent talent is even greater than that of the martial song star's reincarnation. Only the Lord of Seven Stars could possibly contend with you. Why do you still want to spy on this child? You have no right to interfere in my affairs." Fa Wuxian didn't seem to care about Gu Tanjian in the slightest. I know you have a god backing you, but that god is sneaky and doesn't dare to show himself. As for your own strength, it's not even worth mentioning. Get the hell out of here. You really think too highly of yourself, Fa Wuxian. You can't even begin to fathom my background and my backer. This martial song star's reincarnation is mine. Fa Wuxian, if you have what it takes, why don't you take him away and show me your cultivation base? Gu Tanjian's eyes flickered with jade-green flames. Fine. In that case, I'll just have to kill you all. Fa Wuxian's hand flickered with a bright light. Perfect timing. I've been refining a magical treasure lately, and it requires a lot of souls as spiritual energy. Once you're all dead, the souls will be perfect. Oh really? Fa Wuxian, you really are arrogant. Unfortunately, although you're a natural-born saint, you're not a true saint. At that moment, another group of people appeared. They were led by a man wearing an imperial robe and a crown. He emitted the aura of a king. Gu Qinsha's heart trembled. He saw Chun Jianfeng and Chun Lingyun among the group. Clearly, this was the royal family of the Xian dynasty, and the man leading them was undoubtedly Chun Tianwang. He was the surviving crown prince. The remnants of the Xian dynasty had been active in the wildlands, under the protection of Grand Preceptor Wenhong. They lived comfortably and had accumulated a lot of power over the years. This was especially true after Grand Preceptor Wenhong took the Buzhou Palace. All the treasures of the last ancient emperor had fallen into this person's hands. There was no way he wouldn't nurture this group of people. Grand Preceptor Wenhong had said that he was only borrowing the Buzhou Palace, and that he would return it to Liu Baiyue in the future. Gu Qinsha was skeptical about this. Chen Tianhuang's cultivation was shrouded in mist, and he couldn't see it clearly. However, Gu Qinsha was sure that this kid hadn't cultivated the golden core of the Great Path. The Chen family hadn't produced an unparalleled genius back then, and there was information on this Chen Tianhuang. He was just a genius. According to theory, geniuses could cultivate the golden core of the Great Path, but this was just theory. In reality, geniuses had to go through countless miraculous encounters and coincidences before they could cultivate it. Only unparalleled geniuses could cultivate the golden core of the Great Path smoothly and steadily. However, with Grand Preceptor Wenhong's heaven-defying methods, it wasn't impossible for Chen Tianhuang to change his aptitude. Back then, the emperor also had the heavenly sacrifice talisman. In his Buzhou palace treasury, there might be the supreme elixir that was obtained from the sacrifice. Oh, F.A. Wuxian wasn't surprised to see Chen Tianhuang arrive. So it's a bunch of trash from the Chen family. You want to obtain the reincarnation of Wu Xing? Is Wenhong here? If he is, I can't compete with him. If he isn't, you pieces of trash are just going to die. Grand Preceptor has already calculated that this kid belongs to us. Chen Tianhuang was fearless. F.A. Wuxian, try if you can. Since you have a death wish, then don't blame me for what I do. F.A. Wuxian's gaze swept across the many people present. Anyone who met his gaze felt their hearts turn cold. He flicked his sleeves and walked towards the center of the field, grabbing the manservant directly. The manservant looked terrified and didn't dare to move at all. Even if he recovered the full strength of the reincarnation of Wu Xing, he wasn't a match for F.A. Wuxian at all. The reincarnation of the ultimacy of stars meant that the person's aptitude was at the peak of unparalleled geniuses. They could also draw on the power of the stars, and the power in their bodies would be immeasurable. Their cultivation would be fast, far surpassing that of ordinary, unparalleled geniuses. However, he had only just awakened and had no time to cultivate. He was just a manservant. Unless he had the guidance of a great teacher and extremely good resources, he would be extremely powerful after cultivating for 8 to 10 years. Any aptitude needed to cultivate hard to achieve success. F.A. Wuxian, don't you dare. Gu Tanjian wasn't willing to let F.A. Wuxian take the manservant away at this time. He gave Jing Fanqing and Li Tianxing a look. Suddenly, Jing Fanqing made his move. He flicked his finger lightly, and a silk-like sword qi silently slashed at F.A. Wuxian's back from behind. F.A. Wuxian didn't move, but a vortex appeared behind him and absorbed the sword qi. Rumble. A cold smile appeared on Jing Fanqing's face. His sword qi suddenly changed and turned into a door as tall as a person, wrapping F.A. Wuxian inside. Black Gate of Heaven and Earth Change. He had suffered a small loss when he attacked Gu Qinsha last time, but his vitality wasn't damaged. After he went back, he pondered and prepared again. He had perfected this move and had many more tricks to confuse his opponent. Moreover, he had also communicated with Gu Tanjian and received a lot of support. At this moment, Gu Tanjian, Li Tianxing, and Jing Fanqing had reached an agreement. When Jing Fanqing used the Black Gate of Heaven and Earth, Li Tianxing, Gu Tanjian, and some of their subordinates poured their own stellar energy into it. Suddenly, runes appeared on the Gate of Heaven and Earth. Many golden-armored deities appeared around it. They were only the size of mosquitoes. In addition, there were yellow turban warriors the size of a thumb. Many immortals made of smoke and clouds floated around. The Black Gate of Heaven and Earth transformation was an ancient secret art, the strongest move. Once it was used, it would have all sorts of unimaginable uses. Gu Tanjian, Li Tianxing, and the others poured their stellar energy into it to support Jing Fanqing. In the blink of an eye, they had actually plotted against F.A. Wuxian. Snatch him! At this time, the other barbarian experts and immortal cultivators all rushed forward to snatch the manservant away. Rumble. At this time, an extremely powerful force enveloped the governor's manor. Clouds, light, talismans, and many flags appeared outside, fluttering in the air. As the flags fluttered, The multicolored light transformed into martial cultivators, displaying all sorts of martial arts. Extreme pressure seeped out from the ground, forming a barrier. The martial Tao manifestation barrier. Many of the immortal cultivators and barbarians were shocked. We've fallen into an ambush. Friends of the immortal Tao, the Wu province is our Wu clan's territory, no matter what. If we don't have any tricks up our sleeves, wouldn't our Wu clan be nothing but a decoration? In the sky above the barrier, dozens of figures appeared, all of them surrounded by astral energy. They were extremely powerful, and as they controlled the array formation, powerful waves of vital energy poured in, almost freezing the governor's manor. Then, incomparable power poured into Jing Fanqing's manifested black gate of heaven and earth. Even Fa Wuxian, who was in the depths of the gate, was bound. This was the support of the Wu clan's great formation. Li Tiansheng, Jing Fanqing, Gu Tanjian, and the Wu clan had joined forces. The Wu clan was a sage family with deep foundations, and the Wu province was their foundation. Wu Dankong had once been Jing Fanqing's fiancé, and the Jing and Wu clan had been on good terms for generations. Now that they joined forces and befriended Gu Tanjian, they'd been waiting for this moment. With such powerful forces working together, even Fa Wuxian couldn't escape for the time being. Black gate of heaven and earth, devour and recreate, give birth to good fortune. With the help of dozens of Wu clan's experts, Jing Fanqing's heaven-earth mystical gate's power was simply boundless. First, it devoured all the barbarian experts. With a slight tremble, all the barbarian experts were killed, and their blood and souls were used as nourishment for the gate. As for the immortal cultivators, he was trapped in the gate and didn't want to offend them. Chun Tianwang and the others were all sucked in by the gate and struggled to hold on. I have been in Wuzhou City for so long, and I've been waiting for this moment. As the saying goes, a strong dragon can't suppress a snake. Moreover, the Wu clan isn't a snake but a dragon. You came to Wu clan's territory to snatch Wu Tuxing's reincarnated person. If word gets out, where will the Wu clan put their face? Just at that moment, a voice rang out. An old man from the Wu clan appeared above the formation. A golden light appeared above the old man's head. He was actually a Tao Realm 18 transformation Great Tao Golden Core expert. When he appeared, he injected energy into Jing Fanqing's body. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.